fine. You are absolutely fine. I just wasn't sure if Necro was going to show up, but
Oh no, he's at a house. He's got a lot of family around. He said it's noisy. So
no worries. No worries. Not a big deal.
oh, and of course now we're live. That I'm
Ooh,
trying
and
to
I'm
get stuff
staying
done.
back in
No, I'm
too.
getting the echo from the.
There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
I was about to say,
And I
where
was
are you
going to
in a
start off the
church?
stream with a blood wing. So
Well, we absolutely did. We went in full force. This was like Leroy Jenkins, like YouTube style. Hee-haw!
Leroy Jenkins.
I don't want a snow lasso. That sounds like a really bad Japanese porn.
Oh, you've been hanging out with me too long. I'm rubbing off on you.
I have a sense of humor. I know it's weird.
That too. I'll be just pardon me for a sec.
Yep. I think he wanted to get a pop or something. Yeah, I feel no guilt for this one, but I mean, like, I should, because it's mostly just the habit of it than that I'm drinking pop. All right. So, how's everybody doing? This is kind of going off to an interesting start, Kyler. Like, we're kind of here. The boys were playing a game, and I was just
falling a little bit behind on the scheduling. So I had to start off with a blood wing and had to start off with making coffee, and then realize we were live. Woo!
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this today, Kyler. Like, I kind of woke up, was like, I've got a little bit of money from yesterday. It is Boxing Day, which means things are no longer closed. I do feel guilty, though, because I don't like actually going shopping on Boxing Day either. And it's one of those things, like, retail-wise, retail-wise, there's nothing out there that I really desperately need. But, like, I might go out and get, like, some groceries or something, because actually grocery stores are actually fairly quiet Boxing Day.
Yeah, it's mostly the retail stores that are just fucking, and the malls that are just ram-jammed, and people thinking that you're going to get a good deal when, no, if you wait 4 months, the price will be normalized back to what it was at Boxing Day. Because things tend to inflate in the latter half of the year, and then they taper. I mean, obviously around this time of year, they taper off, and then they kind of fall a little bit, and then they go right back up until about springtime again.
I mean, for the most part, if you're lucky, maybe the item that's on sale is like last year's item. Like you might get a Boxing Day item that's like a year old where they're like, you know what, we really just want to push this out because it's not just a year old now. It's like we're going to get new stuff too. But I mean, it's not worth it to run around for that because they have that stuff for like ages. Like they stock up for a while because people are stupid and they know it. And it's the same with Christmas all along. Like this is the thing that irritates me, and this is why I've had a hard time going back to that work field. Like I do have to get a job regardless.
Get a haircut, you hippie.
But like
Tyler.
Like six months beforehand, like even in September, like people complain about seeing the Christmas stuff everywhere. You know what? As a retail person, I love seeing the Christmas stuff there because it reminds people to just get it done with right now. Just do it right now. And then that way, last minute, you don't have to give a shit about it. Most of that stuff is actually cheap at that time too. Because they're like, oh shit, we have to hold on to this crap for the next 3 months. So they'll put that stuff on discount too. And just get your stuff, get your presents if you have to get presents for people, unless it's like gift games or something. Sometimes I would rather just be like, hey, here's $40 to put towards your Steam games, like if you'd rather me get a card for you or something, or if I'm better friends with Functional, like I know which game sites he likes to go to or something, I would rather
monitor ones.
Yeah, for something like that, unless you know for sure that you've got a gift that you're going to get them or something, that kind of thing. I exploit that, because it's an easy gift. But like for Christmassy stuff, like it's always bothered me. Unless it's food items, you don't need to leave it for the last minute. And even for
Yeah.
food items, like there's some stuff you can do in advance that's really easy and really cheap. I loved and hated trays because they're so easy and they're so cheap.
Anyone who knows me knows I don't celebrate much of anything, like not even birthdays. They've never been a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Things I do celebrate are, my own personal milestones. So like, for instance, oh my God, this is going to get me in so much trouble. My 5-year anniversary is coming up in a couple months, and that to me is something that I'll remember and that I'll celebrate. And but birthdays, it's like, congratulations, you slid out of your mom's vajayjay, big deal. What do you want, a cookie? Oh, you do want a cookie? No, you want a cake? Well, you're just a greedy mother. No, I'm just kidding. So but anyone who knows anything about me, when it actually does come to the exchange, to me, it's more about the thought than the actual gift itself. If somebody gives the thought to get me something on my birthday, it's like, oh wow, you shouldn't have, but I appreciate the gesture more than I do the gift. I know some people say that, but like I actually do mean it. Like to me, getting me a gift is I mean, I hate to say this, but meaningless. The gift itself is meaningless. It's the act of just recognizing, hey, this is a special day for me, and that's why, even though I'm an anti-theist and I hate Christmas, I still would go walk around and wish people Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and all those crazy things. Like, that's important to you, then cool.
Yeah. And I mean,
but it's good that you take the time to know who you're buying for. And even though you say it's like an easy gift, it's easy, but that's only because you know the person. You know what they would like. And just quickly, like, I wanted to shout out another thanks to the people because we did some video game streams, I did some other streams, just to sort of fill the time during Christmas. Thank you so much to the people who donated to my Streamlabs. That is like the coolest Christmas gift, even though I don't celebrate Christmas, that I could ever get, because just starting out and somebody taking, appreciating what I've been trying to start doing as far as being a streamer and a content creator. I can't thank you enough, because that shows me that, there's at least a couple people out there that are like, hey, I like what he puts out. I like what he has to say. And oh man, can't appreciate that enough.
Oh man, I just had time to kill, so why not? I mean, I love the missus and all, but she hasn't been feeling best kind, so it's just like, might as well occupy myself with something, and then she can listen
something
to me
fun and busy to do. Yeah,
exactly.
And the game streams have been fun. The hardest part have just been trying to find games that we play together, have, or would be interested in playing. And man, Dauntless, not only Necro, but I got a couple other messages from people who picked it up, and they were like, dude, this is a great game. Like, it's a fun just to get in, kill a few monsters and then get out, or if I want to spend a long time playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to lean towards simplistic games. It's just I don't know that I'm good at shooter games,
It's not a shooter, it's a combat game. It's very much like Monster Hunter, but I understand the sentiment, like being like an attack game, whether it be guns or swords or whatever, not really your forte, which that's cool.
Yeah, not that I don't want to. It's just like, I know myself. It's like I'm like, if there's sniping in there, I might be okay, but like I don't know. I'm not into like jump scares, and my computer can't handle.
One of these days, I'm gonna do like a 6-hour jump scare stream. I'll go through all those horror games, and I might have to set up. My audio is just as good when I scream. No. Fuck off, killer. You're not an actual dirty hippie. You have a job. And no, I don't stream for the money either. It was the recognition. The amount really didn't matter if it was, $1, $20, or $200. It wouldn't matter. It's the recognition that, these are literally my first two super, I would keep calling them super chats, Streamlabs donations. And that just the recognition of, hey, thank you so much. Like, somebody, at least a couple people out there, are watching our shit and appreciating what I had to do, be it the game streams, the game reviews, or these chit chats we have. And speaking of, Jen, do you have a Streamlabs yet set up?
Yeah, I do actually.
Oh,
Let me just like copy and share that again because I did that last time from my D Live, and I forgot that's where I have it.
oh yeah, I keep forgetting that you're on D Live. Sorry,
I'm
that sounds
actually.
horrible, but
Oh, that's okay. I haven't done anything on there. Like I'm probably gonna get a game, but I'm not sure what I'm like. I figure I'm gonna keep myself to a $25 limit.
mm,
And honestly, the Boxing Day sales are on for at least a good week for Streamlabs. So I'm just gonna look through and see what it is that I really want. I'm gonna try and keep an open mind for something that we can all do. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
blind
Meant
girl.
to copy it, not open it. Hi, blind girl. Actually, does she want to join us? Because I wouldn't mind her joining us. She's fun. Let me copy my link, put it into my own
Yeah, she's Canadian, and funny
pod.
enough, I found an actual decent CBC Kids article. It's a very rudimentary way of explaining what Boxing Day is. I see you brought it up already, so we'll just get into it. And if she shows up, great. But as you can see on the map, very few places in the world celebrate Boxing Day. We've got Canada, the Bahamas. That one kind of was a little weird. United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and then another weird one was
Okay.
Nigeria. In the middle of nowhere, we have the Bahamas and Nigeria. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, actually, that does make sense because they were both affected by the United Kingdom, and they both have strong ties to Canada as well in the modern day. A lot of people immigrate. A lot of people work to and from. We do a lot of work out there. The Bahamas is a big tourist destination, but it seems that in some places where the United Kingdom has touched, that tradition has kind of taken hold. Not in all, but in some. You got 15 minutes? Okay.
All right. There.
So, December 26th is known as Boxing Day for these countries. And there are some other places that celebrate the day as St. Stephen's Day, named for another Christian saint. And so, like, historically, yeah, it was a day where the wealthy in British culture gave their servants time off. So it was basically their Christmas because they'd have to serve the aristocracy or the wealthy families, do all this work around Christmas, and then they would give them the day off, which was Boxing Day, and that's generally when these families of servants would come together and celebrate their own version of Christmas and give their own presents and such. Today, it's more about shopping. These stores who, like you were saying before the stream, Jen, have so much stock that they just they need to liquidate it. They need to get rid of it. So, like you were saying, you can get last year's, fashion items, clothing items for really, really cheap. And some places they have different, cultural festivals. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little I want to call it a holiday, but it's just like a tack on to Christmas. Excuse me. No, blind girl's having a little bit of trouble getting on.
No, she just didn't know where I'd sent the link, and it's just that I hadn't seen that because YouTube is so freaking. Well, it's not YouTube; it's StreamYard. It's so slow in comparison to YouTube for messages. So not a big deal. It's just she said
Yeah.
it took like a short period of time. So
it is the British, Canadian, Australian version of Black Friday. Although those kinds of sales, especially with the online markets, have started to rear their heads up here too. A couple of chains, your Best Buys, your Walmarts, those kinds of bigger chains that are American based, generally try to have a bit of a Black Friday sale.
should I post it again?
StreamYards is being difficult.
I will try
Wow.
again. I mean, it is the same one, but
But you know, we at the end of the day, we live in that consumerist capitalist society, which you know we need to further the economy by buying stuff, and these stores, like I said, they just buy too much stock for Christmas. Something that they assume will sell well doesn't, and they want to liquidate it. Like a certain brand of TV might not sell as well, or you know, computer peripherals are huge. I know I see from their tailoring to my ads. That's most of what I get is tech stuff.
As a kid, I always thought that Boxing Day was whenever everybody just got gloves and beat the shit out of each other. But, you know.
Oh, one thing I did also gloss over is the reason why it was called Boxing Day. Again, back to the servants thing. The servants were given boxes with presents and food in them to take home to their families, hence the name Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So the wealthy would literally box up all their leftovers and maybe some gifts that they went out and bought for their servants to show their appreciation to the nicer aristocratic members of the aristocracy. What the fuck is wrong with my English today? And that is the literal name, is to box up all this stuff. And that's why it was known as Boxing Day.
Okay. No worries, next time. Sometimes shit just
happens.
doesn't work.
I can get behind any holiday that makes us eat, Kyler. Family, good food. Yeah, love it. The wrong kind of present you might want to consider, or you shouldn't consider, is the next story, which is, oh my God, I saw this. I was just like, this is too perfect. Jen will get a kick out of this one.
Okay. All right. Let me just get rid of my Discord because
puppies!
Yay, puppies!
When dogs get high, is cannabis dangerous for canines? On itself, no. They don't react the same way we do, but it isn't something that you should be treating to your dogs intentionally. But if they eat it, it's usually not the biggest of concerns, depending on how strong the product is and how big the dog is. Because story time for functional, back when I was late teens, early 20s, my friend and I, we were having a sort of it was break between college classes, so we had a few weeks off, and we decided to spend 2 weeks in his parents' house because they went on vacation, to just sort of laze around, play video games, get stupidly stoned, have people over, you know, just sort of an ongoing sort of chill party session type thing. And him being the dumbass stoner that he is, he decided he was going to leave out like this half-ounce block of hash. He had this golden retriever, lovely, amazing dog that was named Bowie, after David Bowie, and he was the best doggo. Like, he was your typical golden retriever, just super sweet, super active, super fun guy. And really inked. It is the best kind of party. Just, you know, not too loud, not too abrasive, but just fun chills with a bunch of people you probably don't see most of the time outside of any sort of academic or professional life. So anyway, yeah, you can imagine that Bowie decided he was going to eat this entire half-ounce brick. I went home that night, but I get a phone call from my friend saying, oh my God, Bowie's eaten the entire hash and he's not moving. And so I went right back over to his house because I've had experience with raising and training dogs. So I had a little bit of first aid when it comes to canine knowledge. And basically, I just looked into his eyes. He was responding. He was breathing. It wasn't labored breathing.
Guys.
Sure. He was just being really, really, really lazy. So yeah, he was responsive. He looked okay. I'm like, dude, unless, something bad happens, we shouldn't have to take him to the vet, but, we'll just keep an eye on him, make sure he's okay. He was a little spooked. He didn't really know what was going on, but he was responsive and he was breathing, which are the important parts. And he was responding to his name, which is also a very good sign. So yeah, he was a larger, medium-sized dog. He's a little bit on the older side, but he handled it well. Again, I wouldn't intentionally feed any of this to our canine friends, but it wasn't the most dangerous of things. There have been stories of people giving out free pot to people and animals this Christmas season, and I would suggest not doing that, because at the end of the day, it's not the most terrible drug out there, but it is a drug, and people will have, and canines and animals and stuff will have different reactions. Don't do it. Yeah, staring stoned, where you're just almost sort of catatonic. You're aware of what's going on. You're just really, really relaxed. This woman had a bit of a weird experience as well. So Emma Alter realized something was wrong when her King Charles Spaniel, which is, the smaller breed of dog, but a larger version of the smaller breeds, when her King Charles Spaniel, Maggie, when she turned down a cookie. They'd gone to the dog park in Toronto when Alter, 31, can only assume Maggie got into something she shouldn't have. 2 or 3 hours after the walk, the dog had rejected the treat, could barely stand up, and was swaying with a weird head bobble after Alter rushed to the emergency veterinary clinic. And again, in knowing sort of both parts of what's going on here, both, first aid when it comes to canines and about pot, I would look at this dog with what she's describing in the story as not a bad reaction. She was just stoned.
Sorry about that, Abe. My brother ordered pizza, and I was just like, oh, I guess I better help him with the door, because he has to exchange money and somebody has to hold the pizza. So,
and then she ran off with the entire pizza.
I wish I did, but I did mangle one away from him. So.
This is payment for me holding it, bitch.
So I can only assume that the dog probably, again, complete conjecture, complete assumption on my part, that somebody was maybe gifted some weed or was so stoned and dropped their weed that the dog got into it. And again, with what I'm reading here, it wasn't too negative. It's weird that the vet said it was all the symptoms of weed poisoning. Come
on, man.
Right. She paid $2,500 in medication and treatment over 3 days.
Oh,
my
heart.
A little bit of a story, more to the story. There's, just more talk about pot and the fact that this woman decided to keep her pupper on a tighter leash, which, okay. I just think that was a little extravagant for, the vet wants to call it weed poisoning, but she's saying, oh, he was just kind of like a little not hungry, a little kind of bobbly, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey kind of stuff. Again, it's all conjecture because I don't know the entirety of the story, and you really can't. And if she felt that it was time to take the dog to the vet, then that's her decision, and her decision only, and she knows her pupper better than anybody. But I have a feeling that this is because there have been a lot of stories, especially here in Toronto, of people giving away pot to randos on the street, and it's just like, don't do that. People might not be as cognizant to say, oh, well, thank you for the gift because they smoke pot, or well, I'm not going to use this, but I know people who do, or oh, I don't want this, and just throw it. And then an animal like this gets into it, and it could potentially be dangerous because cannabis, CBD and THC are not good for dogs. They're not the most harmful thing in the world, but they're not good. Hey, Duck Dog, how you doing, bud?
No, it ain't. No, it ain't, Duck Dog. I mean, I admit somewhere down the line we might have invented the shit, but that doesn't mean that's our pizza. We blame that on Hawaii because of the pineapples. It's probably just because we don't have Hawaii up here in Canada that you think about pineapples,
It's more so not the literal combination, but the combination of citrus with pork. That is a very celebratory type thing in Hawaii, as well as other Polynesian and Southeast Asian, I want to say.
Doesn't pineapple, like, it has enzymes in it, so it naturally breaks down meat too, doesn't it?
All
So like
citrus
it
does. All
tenderizers.
citrus does. Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's absolutely a lot of reasons why you'd want to use it, and like sweet and sour
it's not
pork.
a technically citrus fruit, but it's still the same on your palate as citrus. So it's got the same citrus enzymes. It's got the sweetness of a citrus fruit. But no, you're right, Duck Dog. It's not citrus.
It's not so much that, it's like it just has a high it's not the citrus, it's I can't remember what it's called, god damn it.
Fructose,
yeah, probably fructose. It's not citrus. It's like it's acidic. Acidic is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It's actually got a high acidity. That was the actual term I was looking for. So I mean, that's why you think citrus, because that is acidity. But yeah, it does have that. It's like onions are like that too. Like, I was trying to explain this to my dad, like why, I think it's a Choplin steak or something like that has like a stupid amount of onions on it. You just let it sit and marinate it over a couple days, and just like it falls apart when you cook it.
What a son of a bitch. I hate you, National Post. You've read your 10th of 10 articles, so fuck off. Well, I'm not going to bring it up because the article won't let me show it, but basically it was an article from the National Post saying, remember how we were talking about the two people in China, the Canadians that are being detained, and Trudeau's basically being a bitch about it? His actual cries for help to the U.S. Have rang true. Mike Pompeo came out in support of Trudeau's request, and has even suggested that they put some trade deals on hold with China until this shit is sorted out. So thank you, Mike Pompeo, and thank you, Trump, for coming to our aid. Because whether it's 2 people or 200 people, these are legitimate citizens who Canadian citizens who haven't done anything wrong by all metrics.
I have to break Duck Dog's brain a little bit here, but they must be putting some weird shit into that canned pineapple that I used to put into my Jell-O, because it does actually work with it.
Well, yeah, at that point, the canned stuff is brined.
Okay,
it probably seals itself, and that's why it's so much sweeter than if you cut a normal pineapple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of, like, I love ham with pineapple, like when you do a proper ham with a pineapple glaze or something. I love sweet and sour pork and chicken, but I can't do pineapple on pizza.
See, for me with the pineapple and the pizza, there has to be a way to do it for me. Like, I'm actually really fussy about it. So like it can't just be ham. It has to be ham and a little bit of bacon. And then
get that extra saltiness.
And then when you do it, you have to actually grill the top pretty decently, because if you can grill that pineapple a little bit, it's actually not so bad. Because that's how I actually picture pork with pineapple, is like it should actually have a fairly strong pork flavor and a very small pineapple flavor. So like for the pineapple, I don't really like big chunks. I'd rather have like smaller chunks, so that when you go to bake it, it grills a little bit on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not that big of a difference, but it makes a big difference in when you're eating it on a pizza. But just like a regular standard, like the cheap ham and pineapple, like I'll eat it if I'm hungry, because I'm hungry. But it's not a favorite,
Yeah, that's why when Elwin asked me, like, we're gonna order food or go out to a restaurant, or what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't care. I'm hungry. I'll eat anything. Like, really, like, you kind of basically know. You want to order pizza? Order whatever the heck you want. I'm not the biggest fan of pepperoni. She loves pepperoni, but I'll eat it because I'm hungry. Food is food.
One of the things I want to try to do, like, I don't have a proper grill. Like, unfortunately, I do think that if I do get one, I'm gonna have to get a small one, because our apartment is kind of low for where our balcony is. So in all honesty, just for the safety hazard of it, I want to get a small one that's lower down. So I can even get like a camper's one if I really have to, and just do it that way. It's just anything that's like I can set up that's safe out there. But next year our balconies are being replaced, so I might as well wait another year to even think about it.
You could always
But
get a George Foreman.
yeah, there's those two. But one of the things that
Speak of the devil, I mention her and she shows up. Mwahaha.
well, one of the things I keep seeing, and it's actually an old thing to do is to just wrap bacon around like pineapple and then just grill it. And oh my god, that's just like such an amazing idea, and it's such an easy thing to do, really. But I don't know. I'd want to wait for a proper grill to do it. I've tried doing it on a pan. It's not the same on a pan.
No,
it's just not the same.
No, he was just talking shit about you, Elwin. That's all. He wants to fight you whenever you get back.
You know what would be really funny is if we got Satsu to try making at least the first recipe from that anime war food war thing that he really liked. In all honesty, it's not that hard to do. It's basically just mashed potatoes that have been formed into a roast that have been cooled and then rewrapped with bacon. Like there are so many things that you could do with that. That's just easy to do. Like maybe add a little bit of like cream cheese to the mix. And then like a little bit of garlic, maybe some onion or chives if you prefer or whatever. And you just add that in there and you just wrap it with bacon and then, pop it back in and grill it and use a little bit of the grease to baste it with a little. Or if you've got, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you know that show Chopped?
Yeah.
I would have, quote unquote, chopped challenges with my friends or various people throughout my life. I'd be like, I'll come over and cook you a meal. And just, pick 4 main ingredients and I'll do it. And it was just fun.
I mean, Cryptic's already challenged him with that Asian stuff. And like I know Functional twitches every time he sees him open another box because he's like, the list of stuff he already has in his cupboard already. He's already got like probably a couple hundred recipes that he could come up with. Like,
yeah. Throw food in. Jesus. Today's been a really bad talking day for me. Throw any ingredients at me, especially if they're Asian, because that's my specialty is like East Asian, Southeast Asian cuisine. Like I'll go to town. Like I said, with like I told you before, with my ambidexterity, like that's one of the things I think that really lets me thrive in a kitchen environment is the fact that you just throw it in front of me and it's autopilot. I'm not even thinking at that point. Yeah. It's just go, go, go. Yeah. That's why I'm so addicted to Food Network. Oh my god! I'll watch like Hell's Kitchen, and I'll be. You can even ask Elwin. I'll be screaming at these people like, "You're so stupid! You should be doing this, 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 this." We're watching Chopped, and I'm like, "Oh, I would do, this, this, and this." And then, sure enough, 2, 3 of the contestants out of the 4 are doing what I just suggested. I look at Elwin, and she just gives me a little smile, and I'm nodding like a big shit-eating grin on my face, like, "Yep."
Yeah, you're not the only one.
No, but that's why it's taken such hold, and that's why in the culinary world, like people are with these shows, with people actually having the drive, the passion for food. Food culture has been taken up a few notches since the Marco Pierre Whites, the early Gordon Ramsay days, and it's flourishing.
Actually one of those things where at least other pods haven't really dipped into it, because it's one of those places where, culturally speaking, they encourage you to share. And I really appreciate that between different groups of people, because the way you make better food is through sharing. It is legit through sharing, like what your spices are, what ingredients you have, what you can do here, what I can do there, and sometimes you mix and match. It's like goulash nowadays can be served on pasta because pasta was cheap. Sometimes it's just easier to keep than just regular flour. If you're feeding a lot of kids, it's quite often it's quicker to cook. It's less work. Like sometimes culturally we mix things. Sausage can come with cheese in it now because certain German countries went to war with each other, and yes, it wasn't always consented, but you know what? They ended up with good food, and they got better trade, and we don't have to do that anymore. We can do that peacefully on the internet just by exchanging our recipes and telling people what to buy for ingredients.
Yeah. And I mean, like you were saying, like Filipino cooking, Dutch cooking, all these things I learned from friends and extended family and whatnot, like just because I was taking notice while at their house for dinner, or just saying, hey, I don't know anything about Filipino cooking. What are the flavors? And between that and, like you were saying, the modern age of being able to watch all these shows or get in touch directly with people via the internet, it's only helping this culinary renaissance. And it's great because in a city like mine, I could get cuisine from pretty much anywhere around the world, from Ethiopian to Chinese to Canadiana, British cooking. It's so wonderful.
And it's just an automatic communication with it too. Like I said, nobody's really touched that one yet, and I really appreciate it. And everybody who's into food, I think understands what I'm saying, that we don't really talk about it, because it's just, once you talk to someone who loves food, it doesn't really matter what they look like or where they come from. You're just talking about something that you love. Because like, I don't understand seafood because I don't eat seafood, but I love watching other people cook it. I love seeing the presentation afterwards. I love seeing people eat it and enjoy it, because the sentiment is still the same. I still love seeing people enjoy the food, because it's one of those things that is actually a peace bringer. Like people come to the table to discuss things over food.
Yeah.
And if it's really good food, sometimes that talk is really more peaceful.
And nothing gave me more enjoyment in my career as a chef than popping out of the kitchen for a break, and looking in the dining room and just watching these people's smiles as they're eating the food, that whether I did the prep or actually cooked the meal or created the recipe myself for the menu, like, didn't matter. It was just whatever part I had in it, just seeing those smiles, ultimate sense of satisfaction. And it made me know that I was in the right vocation eventually. I would have a cooking channel on YouTube right now. I'd probably do recipes and stuff if I was able to do this while standing. Unfortunately, I can't. So
James, I have to say, when I think about Lindt chocolate, I actually don't know if the stuff we get here is made here or if it's from Switzerland. Belgian? Is it Belgian? I thought it was Switzerland.
And it's all the same.
But when it comes to that,
I think it comes from there, yeah.
Yeah, because like if we get shipments from there, I don't actually have a problem with it. I just think it's a little bit overpriced here. And that could just be Canada dollars, like that just happens when it comes to the market. But in terms of it, it's okay as a treat. It's not worth it to buy to cook with. Which is a shame, because like when the minutes Elwyn brings up the white chocolate, I've got all these ideas for like cookies or something that there's lots of things I could do. But is it really worth it for me to buy for cooking? Not so much. Is it okay as a treat? Yeah, every once in a while, if they're on sale, like 2 for $5, I'll get some. I mean, that is actually really cheap. It's gone up a lot more than that. It's more like probably 2 for $6 or something like that. But it's I don't eat a lot of sweets right now. It's not because I don't like them. It's just because if I put chocolate in front of me, I'm going to eat it. Like I technically have cookies that I'm being good about. I've only had 2 today that I made with my mom. And I mean, some of those have chocolate, some of them don't. The gingerbread ones are really good, which I'm not surprised at, because I as I've gotten older, I don't mind. it's not the gingerbread, it's always the molasses that gets people. You either like it or you don't. And we got some nice cooking molasses, so that's good because my dad had this stuff that was like, I think it was too old because it was really like pitch black. It looked like.
Hey, Jack, if you want to come on and tell us all about it, by all means, we can send you a link. What are you printing?
Yeah, sure.
Are you printing guns? Are you printing firearms? Because I'll take a couple.
Oh,
Where is
How
he?
dare you?
If I can see you on.
I'm weird like that. I've never been a big sweets guy, except I do like my soda pop. I love my Coca-Cola. Like, that's something I will drink en masse.
Oh.
But like cookies, candies, I'll have them. I'm just not the biggest. What's the word? I don't like pursue getting them or whatever. I know when Elwyn comes home for Christmas, she's gonna dump like 10 boxes of chocolates and cookies and all this other shit in my lap and be like, here, eat these. And we're gonna be like, ah. But test model.
That's kind of the
$3.
problem with a lot of chocolates. Like, at least with like some of them, like you can maybe reuse it for other things if you want to. But most of our chocolate it's meant to last for a long time. So I think a lot of ours doesn't ours have like wax in it or something? Like the cheap formed chocolates, unless you go to like a specialty shop and get like a proper one.
That is kind of neat. Jack, I just Googled them. Cute little puppers.
Oh,
Little cartoon dog that gets 3D printed. Okay.
woohoo. Oh,
Whose
he's
bird
the
is that?
family. Okay, no worries. Well, thank you for visiting anyway. Like, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Whatever. Blah 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 blah. Hugs and
In a couple months' time, we're going to be seeing him on the news. Man, 3D prints entire house, castle full of toys and I don't know, weird stuff.
Well, especially if he's into Warhammer, he'll have the patience to paint it all.
That would be so awesome. I would love a 3D printer to start rebuilding Warhammer armies. I used to be so into it, but and yeah, we were talking about this What? Okay.
No.
We were talking about this before the stream about Home Alone 2, and I'm sure most people have heard about it already. CBC is removing the Trump scene. Donald Trump Jr. said it was pathetic. I think it's kind of pathetic. Why are you censoring a film for no reason? For a throwaway scene where, no matter what you want to think, he's been a big, huge name in New York and a prolific New Yorker for many, many decades. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of the movie is the fact that Kevin is trapped in New York.
Amazing.
like in that one scene, you could see that he's actually looking up to him. Like, wow, this is a heroic figure, like giving me directions. Like, and back during that time, he was, in their eyes, he was one of them. So I think this is just part of them like being stung in the ass because they know it too.
Well, CBC and representatives from the CBC have come out to say that, obviously it's a film that they're showing on TV, so they have to make cuts for time. They say these edits were done in 2014 when they first acquired the rights to the film before Mr. Trump was elected president. I do find it a little suspicious. They may be right. I
highly doubt that. I don't doubt that there's somebody out there who's got a clip of it being played with him in the background. Flat out.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was because it is Trump. At the end of the day.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Yeah,
honestly, like
it doesn't upset me. It's a level of ridiculous that you just Yeah, who cares?
It's the hyper-connectivity of our times because,
Yeah.
you know, someone like Don Jr. will come out and say it's pathetic. Yeah, it kind of is. But at the same time, if they're right about it being cut previously in like 2014,
Mm-hmm.
who cares?
You know,
It's
the funny thing is
weird.
that this is like also around the time when like that one Simpsons episode was airing too, you know, like
Hmm.
these little weird buttons that you're just like, are we pushing
We're
them too
connecting the
hard?
dots, and yeah, it's if it's merely coincidence, it's coincidence. But if it's not, then it's. I mean, I can guarantee you the thing on The Simpsons and Disney Plus is insidious. It actually is full on censorship. They have no justification for their actions. But something like this, you know what? I somewhat agree with you, Kyler, on like a free speech ground, on a keeping the product artistically together and not cutting it. You shouldn't be doing that anyway, whether it's that or anything. Like if you're bringing something, a movie or TV series to your channel, you really shouldn't be making these cuts. Like,
You know,
fuck your advertisers.
thing
You're
is,
impeding on somebody's.
you're probably right. They might have actually done this beforehand. You know, it's one of those things where I don't really watch
it is a
cable
throwaway
anymore,
scene.
and even my parents, if I think about it, like I don't even think they had cable anymore, right? Like because they've been using like I can't remember what they're using to get their
Yeah,
cable
that's why I
network,
think that
but-
the response is just way overblown,
Mhm.
because these things have happened and they do regularly happen. And as Chad has pointed out on a number of people, it is a throwaway scene. I
Yeah.
think it was. I remember it specifically because I thought that scene was hilarious in when I was a kid and I first saw it. But you know, like at the end of the day, it is a throwaway scene. I fundamentally have a problem with people cutting up movies just so they can fit their time slot on TV. And again, in our hyper-connected world, who cares? Fewer and fewer people watch TV, never mind pay for channels, even though the CBC is free. Everybody's watching their shit online anyway.
You know, the thing is, people might be finding it more sensitive right now, not so much because Trump is the president, but because if you really look at the garbage that they're pushing for Christmas movies, when they do play a good movie, like that was a legit good movie.
Oh, well, your Christmas movies these days are all about white supremacy, apparently.
Stupid Homer.
Hi, random.
Rando. Yeah, there's that. They can, you know, they have so much. Like this is one of the biggest reasons I could never watch TV as it's being broadcast is the commercials. They're so exorbitant. Like some channels will show, you know, up to like 25% of the viewing time is commercials, and I just can't stand it. I don't want it. I don't need it. Get it out of here. Christmas movies are shit today. They didn't really. Nothing really gets better than
Yes, I remember this.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Die Hard. That's it. Yeah, Local Man. So there've been a couple people named Ass Man. We had a notable one that. Oh God, what was his name? Late night talk show host David Letterman from Alberta, Dick Assman. There's this man, Dave Assman, whom the Saskatchewan government wouldn't allow him to renew his plates, his vanity plates that said Assman, because that's his last name. And obviously, double entendre, of course. But I mean, it's somebody's name. It's somebody's name.
I hate, you know, and the
this.
thing is it could legit be his name, because if you know anything
It is his name.
about England, you know that what a butler is. The butler was the guy who cleaned the king's ass, so he very much legit was named Assman. He could have been an Assman.
Well, I mean, a lot of people might find the name Muhammad offensive? Are we gonna block them from? Or what if somebody who wasn't Muslim put Muhammad on their license plate? You know, it's people being too fucking sensitive. All I have to say to people who take offense to this kind of shit.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Assman, pronounced Osman, said he appealed SGI's decision on Tuesday and received a message around 4 hours later that his request had been once again rejected. The again, my tongue is just complete. Maybe I just haven't worked it out enough. The railroad worker took action.
I'm not responsible for that.
He could have got the vanity plate for the front, you know, just like a joke plate. But he wants his actual license plate to say Assman. It's funny because right here they don't censor his license plate, but in this picture here they blur it out. So I think they may have just doxed him. And yeah, he's really right, because he says, you know, even if it wasn't my last name, who's it going to hurt? And that's one thing that I'm really having a problem with in our current years is people equating offense or offensive to doing harm. And the law is there to prevent harm. It's not to prevent offense. Because you know what, motherfucker? Free motherfucking speech.
I mean, I could just imagine him being hit on by so many gay men.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I mean, just like, I wonder if his wife is okay with this.
I mean, I'm okay.
She married him. She's now an Osman.
You know, I mean, I think it's, you know, great for him. He probably definitely knows. I mean, he does pronounce it differently because he probably doesn't want to hear that all the time. But yeah, I mean, good for him. But like, honestly, I could still see him being hit on by a lot of gay men, you know?
Trixie Osman. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of women names to play with that now.
Karen Osman.
Candied Osman.
Yeah, stick it to the Mr. Osman.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for this. I have a similar. I'm not gonna dox myself or mention my actual first name, but originally, because my father was Jewish, my given Jewish name on my Israeli passport is basically Yeshu, which is the direct translation to Jesus. It's a common Jesus name. It's a common Jewish name. Hello, Jesus the Savior was fucking Jewish.
Shalom.
So they you know, to prevent offense, they took the recommendation of the Canadian people, government officials, and just changed it to a different J name. So, but yeah, it's. I can relate. Like, why change your name because it might mean something else in another language? I had a friend in college. His last name was Negro. It means
sticker, but I did.
It means black, but in a lot of Latin languages. But he wasn't even Latin. He was Asian. He was Japanese. And again, it wasn't spelt the same. Mm-hmm. Not at all, but the same sound, negro. Yeah. Some Japanese thing, I don't know. I had a good laugh and I moved on with my day. I didn't find it offensive. None of our black friends found it offensive. We kind of found it funny because something that means something completely else on literally the other side of the world shouldn't be offensive.
Yeah.
Speaking of Asia, really cool. Fucking Eye of Sauron was in the night sky the other night. Really cool. I'm going to play a little bit of the video because, as you can see, there was this really, really, really fucking cool eclipse. The last eclipse of the year Millions of people in Asia were looking at this and experienced this. It's something I've never seen in real time here. I've seen a couple of eclipses. As you can see, they're wearing the special glasses and stuff.
That's good.
They're going to show the other cool pictures of it. Bunch of people just sort of watching it. I always like these stellar phenomenon that happen. Are we going to get another good picture of it?
She said her real name. I was like, well, I'm not supposed to say your real name. So
I've mentioned it a couple times. Yeah, there we go. Cool little eclipse. And again, coming back full circle to the technology thing, we have so much technology, we don't even have to look at it directly. We can just, record it in high definition with cameras and watch it in real time on like a computer screen, so it doesn't damage your eyes. It's dirty in English, if I remember. Probably duck dog. Like I said, like there's just so many. I'm sure that those same sounds in other languages have completely different meanings and aren't at all offensive.
Well, it's vice versa too. Like there's quite a lot of stuff that we say that's actually pretty rude for them. So, like
this was another cool video of somebody just on their phone. I guess in this scenario, filming in portrait is acceptable. Not good, but it's acceptable. Got some cool pictures of it through the clouds. And as you can see at its, I want to see perfect alignment. It looks like a fucking neon ring or like the Eye of Sauron kind of in an 80s fashion. It was so cool. Fine. I thought it was cool. Fuck all y'all.
No. I thought it was cool. My mind was just taking it like that would be a nice butt ring. I don't know why my mind went there.
And I was taking a hoot from my pipe.
Okay.
And it's like, well, if we're already looking at space, I might as well go to space.
Well, I got two more.
Oh, Elwyn, you're my favorite girl right now. Love Tron.
Yeah, it does look like Tron.
Yeah.
It's like a Tron disc in the sky.
Yeah.
Japan or puppers?
Oh, can it be both?
Probably not at
Are
the
the
same
dogs
time.
located? Are the dogs located in Japan though?
I'm just gonna wait for an answer. Puppers or Japan?
Dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with the dogs.
It's not happy news. It's kind of a more what the fuck is wrong with people? Because there's some major pet insurance in Canada that are saying dog injuries from quote unquote jumping, running, slipping, tripping, or playing not covered.
Okay, that's just fraud.
So lawyer says there's a dog can't be a dog clause. But this major pet insurer, Pet Secure, pays out after Go Public investigates. So it's a case of gotcha, bitch. And the company doing a full 180 and going, okay, well, we're going to go backtrack and we're going to pay you. And, hopefully this will blow over. But this is the thing about insurance companies in Canada is we don't have any real stiff regulation in ways of protecting consumers, because this is quite literally, as they say, a dog cannot be a dog clause. And using that legal trickery to basically sucker people into paying for insurance that doesn't cover them in the slightest. It happens in the auto insurance industry here. It obviously happens in the pet insurance industry, in private health insurance, dental insurance, these types of things. It's whoa, them's fighting words. You're my favorite girl. Piss off. Newf.
Danger zone!
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Just remember, you're the crippled. I'm the abled one.
And
I can pick her up and run.
And I will kill you. I have swords.
And I have swords. Do you want to duel at dawn then? We shall find a beach.
Oh my god. Okay, well, you know what? Why don't you replace those with some like fake Star Wars sabers there, Elwyn? We'll get them some padded suits and let them have at it.
I mean, I do want to have a wooden sword fight, so that would be a fun idea. Yes! Yes, we should plan that for the
Phrasing,
summertime.
boom!
You know?
I'm not having a wooden sword fight with you.
I'm
Phrasing?
come on.
both, James. I like both because I kind of like the attitude of cats. I know some people are turned off by cats exactly because of the attitude of cats, but I've always liked that kind of attitudey love that they give. And when they do love you, like, you know, when you're their favorite person, it's amazing, you know. But I like dogs too because dogs are very loyal and, you know, um when they bond with you, they just love you to bits. You know, it's like I complain about my dog licking all the time because he does. And he's a little bit of a weirdo about it sometimes. But no, he's a sweetheart. Like, no, he doesn't do that. Thank God. But he has tried to like people he doesn't know. So but he's not that bad about that. But but he's absolutely adorable sweetheart, you know. You've seen my avatar for him.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sweet boy. But
And
he's
such
better
a
than Josh.
cute
Oh my
puppy.
god, I should tell you about Josh. Huge puppies. Josh was the other lab. Josh was the lab that raped both Elf dolls. Do you remember Elf? Elf used to
No.
have it stuffy. No? Elf is a show that you should look up. He was pretty funny. He was obsessed with eating cats, which is absolutely hilarious because I don't think anyone ever got that joke.
Cryptic?
Kind of like Cryptic. And he's an alien too, but he's a furry, hairy alien.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's just
Elf.
wow.
That's it. Exactly,
Oh,
Doug.
Alf, not elf.
Yeah, Elf.
Yeah.
No, you're saying elf.
Sorry, it
It's
sounds
Alf.
I have-
Alf.
I'm
Elf.
drippy of the nose. I am drippy of the nose. I cannot Elf.
You
Elf.
people in your Canadian accents disgust me, eh?
Excuse me.
Yes, I remember Alf.
Elf. Well, I had two stuffy dolls. Well, I had a stuffy doll and my brother had a stuffy doll. So the first one was the first sacrifice when he was a puppy, and it was fine. He used to just like, you know, try to eat them, and then all of a sudden he went through puberty, and it was more like, hey, hey, how you doing?
You're not
All
wrong, Duck Dog.
And then so that one got thrown out. Like my mom literally legit had tweezers, not tweezers, but like tongs to pick it up to get rid of it, and then those went into the trash with it because it was dripping. It was gross. And then there was the second doll, which I didn't want to give him, but ended up being taken by him because he got into my room and got into my closet and just he went at it, and that was it for that.
Oh,
and
he's
then
such
there
a
was-
happy looking boy. I love this dog.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love dogs. I love shepherds too. Yes, dogs are fun, but sometimes you really want to know when to snip them and when not to snip them. So snip them beforehand because they will rape everything, including your friends that are small and Asian. Like my brother had these friends that he brought over all the time. Every time.
Oh, same thing,
Oh.
James, Duck Dog. It's the same thing.
I am from Alberta, James. Yes.
all I can
Oh.
all I can think of is now I'm about to incur the wrath of Jen. It's not the same thing. But yeah, it's again, it's just really weird how the government here in Canada, especially with how involved they like to be in certain things, are not acting right when it comes to insurance companies in Canada, especially when you have cute puppers like this that need medical attention.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I as you know, I only have a kitty right now because I rescued her many years ago, and she kind of found her way to into my heart, and she's, you know, the cutest little fuzz bucket. But I like all animals. I don't know, like I worked on a pig and chicken farm, and I treated them all with the utmost care and respect and had good times with them until I ate them, and then I had more good times.
Yeah, I've always liked animals with personality. Like, I mean, all animals have their own personalities. So, and honestly,
For sure.
there's always just that distance between ones that are dangerous and ones that aren't. That I always have to remind myself, because like there's a certain point where I used to watch this guy with his venomous snakes, and like he was a collector, but like he handled them, and he would like collect the venom from them to like send to people who test it and use it for like medical.
Yeah, you make antidotes from venom. Yeah.
So like the thing is like he was very careful about how he handled them. Like he didn't play with them at all. Like he didn't really handle them. Like he would use like
he gave them the respect of something that could do him harm is warranted. Yeah.
And it was so sad because like there were times where like you could tell that he had bonded with them, and like, you know, they were probably friendly enough with them that they wouldn't have done something, but just that accidental oops, you can't trust. And like they do have a face, you know, it's a different kind of face, but like they do have a face, and sometimes that's the problem with me is like I can see a face and automatically I'm bonding with you, and you can't do that with something that's going to kill you. You know, it's the same with bears. Like I like bears, but I'm very respectful of bears. But, you know, you do see a baby bear and you're just like, yeah, I can understand entirely why it would be hard not to bond with you because you're so adorable. But there's going to come a point when, you know, I have to feed you. And even as a big bear, even with you, a good bear, you still have to feed you. So, like, you know, you can't do that. But I'm torn on the otters. I'm torn on the otters now because I've seen some videos where, like, you know, the industry in Japan, it's always that bad part of industry that I'm just like, if you did it right, I wouldn't have an issue with it. If the animals were treated right, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But there's always people who don't do that.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You know, it's like I said, they're one of those animals that I don't doubt that they could be domesticated because they're very sociable animals, which humans are sociable. You know, so it's not a bad thing as long as the owner is, you know, responsible and they take care of the otter's needs and they respect the fact that the otters has needs. They have needs. They need to swim. They need to be around water. They need seafood. You know, like they have needs. They're not cats, but
well, being in Japan, they have plenty of all of that,
right? It's just like everything. It's just you have to look into where you're purchasing your animals. Like if they're not being treated right at the very get-go, don't buy from them, Japan. Just saying, I don't have any Japanese viewers, but if anybody ever watches this and you're from Japan, I love the idea of the otters, but just do it right. Fuck the guys who want to harm animals. Dirtbags. And there's a Japan
phrasing.
And going into Japan.
Yeah, so it's weird that because, you know, countries like ours, like the United States, the UK, it takes a lot to reach the death penalty. We still have death penalties. It's usually in Canada, you know, for high crimes like treason. And even then, it's a high bar to reach because it would be like treason that would, say, affect troops overseas, like actually put Canadian citizens in harm's way. So it's a high bar to reach a death penalty. And it's more or less true in a place like Japan as well. It's their first execution in 10 years, but with what I would consider good reason. We get into the article. Japan executed its first foreigner in 10 years on Thursday, a Chinese man convicted in the 2003 murder and robbery of a family of 4.
Oh.
So we're talking at least...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fully understandable.
Yeah, that's a full family. it is, whether or not you agree with the death penalty or not, that's a whole different discussion. But for countries that actually still do in some regards, that's probably a decent bar. And it's taken since 2003 for them to get the conviction and schedule this and all of that. And so there's been plenty of time for, jurisprudence to play out. I'm not too overly familiar with their legal system or how things work there. I can only assume that it's relatively fair. Weiwei 40 was hanged Thursday at a detention center in Fukuoka, where he'd been on death row for more than 16 years. He was convicted of robbing and killing a clothing store owner, his wife, and 2 of the children at home. He and 2 of his accomplices dumped the bodies in the ocean after attaching weights to them. So this was a pretty heinous crime. And yes, James Woodwright, we do technically still have the death penalty in Canada. Like I said, it's for high crimes. Like we're talking, putting people's lives in danger by selling, military secrets or putting our foreign people on vacation or on business in danger in other countries, high crimes of major terrorism. Like if we had our own version of 9/11, you would probably have that as an option here. But I don't think we've executed for anyone in a long time.
No, and in all honesty, if you were to look at anyone, you'd have to look at our prime minister as an example, who's been skirting on the edge of it for his entire career as a politician, at least in top office, because like he's had several incidences like that one with the prince.
Yep.
And owning the island. Like there's been so many times where his fingers have been where they're not supposed to be. And honestly, the more he creeps into China the way he is, I hope to God,
and allowing them to creep into us.
The more he keeps doing that, I hope somebody can catch him somewhere. And all eyes are on him, and he's such an idiot. I don't know who's backing him, but whoever's backing him has to know, like, he's on a thin line, and I hope he gets caught. I'd rather I hope he smartens up. But if he doesn't, I hope he gets caught because, it's a huge thing for us. Like, in
all honesty, though, with all the gaffes that he's had over the years, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think anybody's going to get justice for the Canadian people as a whole are going to get justice against Trudeau because he's too well connected. And so far, with the egregious behavior he's shown to date, I don't think he ever will. I think I can just hope and pray that eventually at the ballot box he's gets his
another Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
He might end up being another Bill Clinton, and I just that makes me sick.
Yeah,
just at the very least get him out of office,
Yes, because
retard alert!
Like that's our prime minister, King Retard. And more than anything in today's day, he is more of a joke, more of a stain on Canada as a nation on the global stage than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so embarrassing. I don't really know what else to say about it. Like I can try to play it down as much as I can with my American and non-Canadian friends, but at the end of the day, he is a massive joke, and he really is just forever staining the public view outside of Canada of what Canada is.
I just hope that he doesn't regret anything that he puts into play, because like he's dumb enough. It's one of those things where, like, even last time, like the stuff that you guys voted him in for before, that you were hoping for, that like he would change the electoral and stuff. I hope the stuff that he changes now, like I hope he doesn't regret it, because he has to understand that like it's not going to just be his party. He's not just the only one that other people are looking for. And I just hope to God it's never NDP. At least with Jagmeet, like no offense, Jagmeet, but like you're not the person of color I want to vote for. I have no problems with person of color. I actually wouldn't give a shit at all, as long as they're a good person. I'd actually like to see a native try for it. I'd like to see a really good politician come out of the natives, but they'd have to actually earn it and earn my trust and my respect, and I would absolutely vote for them. I don't give a shit where you're from.
That's good, James, because because a lot of us, multi-generational Canadians who come from a British cultural background, and most of Canadian culture is based on British cultural background. We always look back to the home country, to Britain, the United Kingdom, with wonderment as well, and with hope. Like, we, as much as we look down south to our big brothers, and hope that they do well there because we're so attached at the hip, we also care a lot for our UK cousins because we want the best for your country. And I think that's why there was a big response when someone like Bojo got into office there and defeated the communists, because of the big three, we still kind of have a semi-socialist communist in power, and it's scary. We have a lot more backing for those parties, and it's scary. Whereas it seems like it's been diminishing a lot in the United States for obvious reasons when you have those people like your Bernie Sanderses, your Kamala Harrises, your Buddy Geeks, and you guys have, like your Corbyns, your Lammies, these people are just ridiculous, and it's hilarious.
Here's the thing that Justin Trudeau really doesn't understand about the Canadian mindset is, like, when I think about Europe, I think about the fact that I still have family very much in Europe, and and you look at the SJWs who want to lump me in as a white person, like that actually means something. So, like, I look at my mom, who went to Austria a couple months ago, and she spent quite a bit of time with her Austrian cousins, and she got to reintroduce herself to the culture and the types of food that she grew up with from my mom, like my grandmother. And it's one of those things, if she were to go and meet my dad's cousins who are from Scotland, who I would like to do that, but my dad said that they're not as friendly as certain other European countries. She wouldn't experience the same culture at all. It would be completely and utterly different. And the fact is that they want to lump Canadians in like we're all the same. We all came from the same place. And, well, yes, we all have that European history of like this place was taking over here, this place was taking over there. But a lot of us are just little people who have experienced government over and over again, and it's not like we don't know what it's like to come from different ones.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's the failings of both just failings in general. It's bipartisan. If one side fails, if the other side fails, it doesn't matter. We recognize that as a failure, but our political system fails us in not recognizing that the majority, not the overwhelming majority, but the representational majority don't agree with that stuff. Again, we look back to our recent election, almost the entire country went blue, which is our Conservative Party is blue. But the Liberals held down the majority power because in two major hotspots of Southern Ontario and Southern Quebec. It's a never-ending cycle. So what?
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like that family connection doesn't hurt either. I'm just saying that family connection makes me want to see, my family do well, regardless of where they are.
And that's the kind of, quote unquote globalism I can get behind.
Yeah. Where they are.
Still, you still have that camaraderie, that those ties that bind us, but not to the point where our economy, our society, our policies all have to be intertwined. No, fuck off with that shit. We're sovereign nations for reasons. Back off. Get your own sandwich.
Now, if you come here for other reasons, like if you want to come here because you want to experience Canadian science, you're from Europe, and you want to work here in one of our fields and become Canadian, I don't have a problem with that either. Just, do it respectfully. We actually do have a huge UK population over here now too. Like, I don't know about Toronto for you guys, but down here it's been quite a flush over the last couple of years. I mean, it's not as strong right now because like Alberta economy is crap. Nobody's moving here; they're moving out. But before that, like all our cops were from the UK because the training's so similar.
Christian, who's Kahi Leonard? Kahi? I don't know who that is. Next choice, do we want I'm Dreaming of a Jew Christmas or
Oh my god.
or Canada, giving the old slap and tickle to the United States?
Slap and tickle, slap and tickle.
I guess
I'm
slap
just a
tickle.
Slap and tickle first? Okay, slap and tickle.
But I'm just a degenerate, so whatever.
Put the bunny back in the box.
You degenerate.
Oh, Con Air.
Yeah.
That's what that movie was from. Quote was from, not movie was from.
Yeah.
Oh,
Put the
we've
bunny
got
back
some-
in the box.
Put the bunny on the screen.
Yeah, the old slap and tickle. So the Canadian juniors, I don't know how many people pay attention to the juniors. I'm still a big juniors fan, more so than the NHL. I've talked about this before. I just don't like the overbearing protectionist rules in the NHL and the way that Gary Bettman has pussified the NHL, for lack of a better word. So I watched the juniors because, again, these kids play with drive, with purpose. They want to land those big NHL contracts, So to watch them, it's really exciting stuff. They hit hard, they play hard, and they don't hit to maim because they have the respect on ice, that warrior respect for the other opponent. But they will play their damnedest. So we shut down the Americans' 12-game winning streak with the Canadian team and beat them quite well. It was just, a little...
What was the
where's
final
my
score?
Nelson?
I think it was 6-4.
I think so.
Ooh.
It was a tough game up until the end, and then we got a pair of empty netters and just completely shut them down, gave it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit when I think about it. I didn't watch the game, so I'm conjuring up the image of the game that I did watch. But the 2010 Olympics game, the last 13 seconds, and I was like, why are the Americans not paying attention to their net? There's 13 seconds and 5 seconds afterwards.
You know what, Duck Dog?
Shut up and take my money.
That probably made it worse, but funnier all the same.
Well, you know what? Good job to both teams anyway. Regardless of what side of the border you're on, both guys put in their heart.
Oh,
You could tell from the game
of course.
that was close. So, good job.
Watching them up until that point as well, the American boys were doing really well, obviously. And yes, I'm dreaming of a Jew Christmas. So
where's Cryptic? I want Cryptic.
So, in the spirit of Christmas, it's become kind of a meme, a stereotype that, Jewish families eat Chinese food on Christmas. There's a really good reason for that. Everything else is closed because in large communities, and we have both large communities of Jewish people and Chinese people in the Western world, who don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
A lot of Chinese people are not Christian. So it's a perfect, amalgam of the two cultures coming together. And yeah, it's mostly because they're open and, when you go to a proper Chinese food place, not, just Chinese takeout, their fast food place, it's good eating. There's a lot of good eating there. And a lot of it is kosher. You don't, yes, they do involve a lot of pork in their food, but traditionally it wasn't a lot of pork. So you can get kosher, or not even kosher, but they don't tend to use a lot of dairy. So there's not that mixing. There's a huge, scale of how Jewish you are when you keep kosher. Like me on Passover, the most holiest high holiday of Jewish culture, I go out, I get the biggest, greasiest bacon double cheeseburger I can, even though I'm allergic to cheese, just in spite of the religious practice.
Wow.
Duck Dog, that's the thing. Like it's them blending into the culture. There is also, a presence, a large presence of Christianity in that part of the world. But as far as the majority goes, they're nowhere near the majority.
I always kind of
Oh my God, Elwyn and her Chinese food. Oh my God.
see that this is why I've always kind of questioned like the Bible in the first place, because whenever I thought of that passage for the Jews, I always kind of thought about back in the day, because back when that was written, pork would have been disgusting to handle, because pigs, I mean, you can use pigs absolutely, but you have to be super quick. Like the Brits got it down really well with pork products. But you have to be really quick, because like pigs eat everything. They eat grubs, they eat garbage, I mean, pigs back in the day are healthy because like they were eating anything from the forest, but like that could still have bugs in it. So like you have to be really quick when you gut them and clean them and hang them and cook, smoke and then hang, so you really think about where like that area of the world came from and where like the Jews kind of came from. In all honesty, that's a hot area of the world. You take apart a pig in the desert, I wouldn't, not without like indoor.
Well, they didn't even have pigs,
right?
Yeah.
So like you're not going to have pigs, and even if you did, like the areas where you have them, it's still warm. So like, you have to be quick. If you don't have the ways to cool them, like if you really look at the history of like how long it took people to really start consuming meat, because meat is like that. You have to handle it right away. Otherwise it goes bad and you can't really keep it. It's really hard to keep without refrigeration. So
yeah, and then pork is very dangerous if it's not kept properly.
So for Jewish people not to eat pork at that time, and for Muslims to not eat pork, it made sense in my head. I was like, okay, I kind of get where you're going with this, but like honestly, nowadays it's a clean meat if it's done properly, and that's to be held with all animals. All animals that you eat should be done properly.
That's a choice, James, I really don't want to make. I just give me more pork. So I mean, it's been a tradition, and as the article goes on to state, the custom dates back to at least 1935. This is where we can sort of pin it down. When the New York Times mentioned a Chinese restaurant owner bringing chow mein to a New Jersey Jewish children's home on Christmas Day. Again, because the custom is so well known, it's been studied, parodied, and was once even referenced by U.S. Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan during her 2010 nomination hearing. Not her biggest fan, but watching this made me laugh. They asked her where she was on Christmas Day, and she said, like all Jews, I was probably at a Chinese restaurant. Again, becoming a huge meme. And yeah, like huge populations of Chinese and Jewish in places like New York. So when these big communities don't celebrate the big holiday that the majority do, they tend to come together like this. It's also like a heartwarming story of most, for lack of a better word, Christians, people celebrating Christmas, were busy doing their family stuff.
Yeah.
These two communities came together to help one another. And there's lots of stories. I read up on this a couple of years back. There's lots of stories like that where I think there was a big railroad disaster when they were way back when, we're talking 1800s, where a Jewish community came to take in some of the orphans of the Chinese immigrants who were killed in the big disaster
Aw.
in
Well, that's good.
I want to say Northern Ontario or something. It was, and these kinds of things, just really fun. And you can see here in this picture, the blue square represents, this is very old in Toronto's history, a Chinatown, our main Chinatown in downtown Toronto. And then next to it is what's now known as Kensington Market, which was the biggest Jewish community in Toronto, right next door to each other. As New York, you have, again, Chinatown. And then if anybody's been in the Lower East Side, that's where you'll see all the guys in the funny looking hats, again, right next door to each other. It's just been a complete history of these two very different communities historically wanting to be close to one another and integrate well with each other on that sort of social level. It's cute.
Well, you
It's
also
the true
gotta
spirit
have,
of Christmas showing in the Chinese and Jewish communities.
in little cultural ways, you have a lot in common too, because you both come from a culture where there's kind of a bit of a push on the kids to study and do well and try to invest in yourself, and love for the home, that kind of stuff. It's
yeah, a lot of people tend to forget that meme of the the tiger mom or the overbearing Asian parents. That is something that is also really prevalent in the Jewish household, the Jewish communities, to reach a strive for a certain level of vocation. That's why there are a lot of Jewish lawyers, doctors, statesmen, because those are what are seen as prolific, well-paying jobs, and in some cases, like doctors, well justified to be well-paying jobs and affluent jobs that a lot of people respect.
Yeah.
Of course, we aren't the most physically bearing people, so we don't really go into things that are just as equally as prolific, like military, police, fire, emergency services. That was a bad Asian Jewish joke. I'm sorry. I'll just sit in the corner now.
No, you're fine. It's one of those things with the Asian guys. I kind of feel for them, because there was a bunch of whiners last year who were I can't get a date from a white girl, and it was just you do realize that it's not that you're an Asian dude that's holding her back. The theory over the penis thing is a joke. That's a joke. That if somebody's saying that to you, that's a ginger kid joke.
Yeah. For the most part, 99 times out of 100, it's just a joke. You might come across that one person who's intentionally trying to be a dickhead about it, but
yeah. I'm just saying, from the perspective of as a white girl to the Asian guys, it's not that I wouldn't chase after an Asian dude. It's just that culturally there's a little bit of a difference, and I'm not really a keeper. In all honesty, I'm okay as a person. I'm a very friendly person, but I don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly, Kyler.
That would drive their parents absolutely insane. So you know what? There's a thing with Asian culture. It's called their family. And their family comes before their girlfriend, and that's the thing. I don't have a problem if I was a better person competing for that, but I'm not. So I'm unless you're just vying for the blue-eyed Asian kid. You're gonna have to fight your mom. You're gonna have to fight your mom.
Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and all that jazz.
Have a good one, Kyler. Or James.
No, James is taking off. Kyler, you are right, because you got to channel that Irish aggression somewhere. And what better way to do it than taking care of business? Getting the police jobs and taking care of crooks. Plus, I hate to say it, but a lot of higher ups saw that as disposable. So when you're in dangerous lines of work, they saw that as disposable, as despicable that might be. It was kind of part of the truth. But again, if you are
didn't gangs
what's
of
the
New
word?
York
Subgenus of people? Yeah. A subgenus of people, you're from a different part of the world, you develop differently depending on your environment, and your group, your tribe of people develop differently depending on where you were. And since these people were in highly populated areas, they were with a lot of abundance as far as in like the Middle East, money, in Asia, food, you tend to strive for more intellectual pursuits, because there's more people who won't be able to get that, have the wherewithal, the ability to go into those fields. You'll have a lot more people who are better suited for laborious jobs. It's funny. It's fun looking at all this stuff that, in today's age, a lot of people would turn at you and be like, that's racist. Well, no, it's actually genealogy, it's history, it's evolution. It's a whole lot of things that play into why we have stereotypes, is because reasons. There's lots of reasons. Anyway, changing the topic. Again, a lot of people probably have heard about this stuff, and it's just another
Oh my
case
God,
of,
who the hell cares?
you're giving this girl what she wants and more attention by covering this nothing story, and you're giving Drake attention for being a talentless hack. It just I'm not even going to keep this on screen for very long. Fuck
That's
it.
good. Okay, good. Because I was just like, really? I don't really follow either of these people, and I don't really.
The only reason I bring it up is because it's in tying with my like, this is why people see Canadians as a joke.
Yeah.
Not all, but why sometimes there's, and again, 99 times out of 10, it doesn't matter because it's actually just joking around. People are just joking. But with more and more coverage of stupid shit like this, that percentage of people who actually use that as malicious maligning against our peoples, it's just, I'm so tired of it. I'm just, fuck off, Drake.
Well, you know what? My recommendation for that is don't click on those anymore, because the less attention they get for clicks on those, the less they cover them. And the less they cover them, the less those people matter.
You're right. You're right.
I
But
know.
I want to bring it up on stream just to give my literal cent and a half of who the fuck cares. Stop talking about these people and they will go away. I know I'm being, hypocritical in doing that, in talking about it, saying talk about them lest they'll go away.
Student who died tackling U.S. gunmen to be honored as a Star Wars Jedi.
But hopefully, Kyler, you have the German ability to hold your drinking. Yeah, this really gripped me in the feels.
The feels, yeah.
Because this guy was a true American hero. Not all heroes wear capes. Who died while protecting people, protecting his fellow man against the crazed gunman. People are taking that step to honor him as what he was very prolifically as a kid, was a huge Star Wars fan. Riley Howell, I'll say his name because he's an amazing he was an amazing person. I'm getting a little choked up because I have mad respect for people who come to others' aid with not even, I can't talk today, can't snap, without even a second's notice, and just acts. Not even a care to his own well-being, just to ensure that other people on his campus were safe or could be safe.
So this is one of those moments where I would normally not say F in chat, but you know what? If you put it as like, may the force be with you, let's press F in the chat for this guy.
If nothing, because he's an American hero.
Yeah.
And this guy was a university student. He was a kid. He was going to better his life. He ended up losing his life. But I couldn't think of any greater honor than giving your life to protect countless strangers. Gee.
We get what you were going for. I know.
She misclicked the keyboard.
Yeah. Love you, Elwin.
So a hero of this galaxy is now also a hero of one far, far away. The makers of Star Wars have created a character in honor of Riley Howell, according to CNN affiliate, blah, blah, blah. Howell was a 21-year-old ROTC cadet and student at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. He died in April while tackling a gunman on campus. Authorities have said that Howell saved the lives of others while he charged the shooter who opened fire with a pistol in a classroom. A spokesperson from Lucasfilm said a family from his hometown told them about Howell, and this was their way of helping. The character named Riley Howell is described in the Star Wars fan site as a Jedi Master and historian of the Jedi Order who collected accounts of explorations of the Force. His character was first mentioned in a 2019 reference book that accompanied this year's film, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. That's what everybody was saying. He's a Jedi Master and he's a hero. And I'll go back to what I've said, about the NRA, about the ROTC, about cadets. It takes a certain person to be this type of hero, but this
in the chat twice because like now he's been screwed. He's been boned twice. Sorry, kid. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, Jack Gunsky, but it was, how can I put this? Something good finally came out of Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah,
and hopefully, maybe in future they will actually reference this character in a game or another series or something. You never know. When it is such a good thing. Like I was saying about the ROTC cadets, etc. They teach you about firearms, and they're teaching you. It takes a certain type of person to be a hero like this, and to study these types of, for lack of a better word, martial arts that teach you about defense, about firearm safety, and the culmination of all things that make a person who is willing to, at the end of the day, whether or not they do give up their life or not, are willing to put their person in harm's way to protect another person or many other people. Just amazing. And I'm not a general fan of kids, but he was a cute kid.
Yeah.
And the video is just them remembering him, and that's him.
Condolences to the family.
A major fucking hero.
Of my jokes, like, I mean, it is a nice gesture on behalf of the movie makers, regardless of whether or not I agree with like forcing that down people's throats. It is a nice gesture to the kid.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, hero. That says it all, and that's why I full screen the picture, because he's a proper lad. Like. Again, I'm getting a little. It's getting me in the feels because, man, it's bad enough when you have those psychos in the world, but when they literally strike down a hero, it's tough. It's tough to deal with.
And I don't mean to be this bitch because it is that time of year, but it is also Christmas too. It's one of those things where like,
bah humbug.
I know bah humbug, but actually for them it probably does feel really bah humbug because like the first year is always the worst, and then like a couple years afterwards you're still kind of gripped by it because it's been so long. But yeah, like the holidays are kind of, especially when he's so young, when he's so young. So I mean that's gonna be.
I mean, historically, we've sent kids to die off in war that were a lot younger than that. But
we sure have.
and again, it is a different mentality when you're actively going somewhere to fight than it is when you are in school, in class,
not preparing
to defend your fellow man, your fellow citizen, your fellow Americans in that kind of a setting. And again, just hero. That says it all. Just the kid was a hero, and a proper hero too. Wasn't a hero like Drake, he's such a hero to music, or Donald Trump, he's such a hero to the American people. No. These are just people. These are entertainers and politicians. They're not heroes. It's the people who literally put themselves in harm's way to protect others. That is what makes a hero. Or someone who gives up a part of themselves, be it time or the other extreme, to do something for others, to protect others, feeding people, helping people. And, you know, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice has to be paid. And excuse me. Yeah, totally, Kyler. And up here in cadets as well. Not only can you learn discipline, but you can learn the strong basic ethics, how to defend yourself. Again, firearm safety, a whole plethora of things, survival skills, just a lot of things that in urban life we don't learn, we don't appreciate.
No.
And
unless you live in the ghetto, and then it's just then you're living a different kind of self-defense. Sorry. I am glad I have a small channel to be demonetized before I even get to 1,000.
Because we can do whatever we want.
No channel, but if I lose it, at least it's only 53 people who have to remember my name.
So to our final story, a little bit of a joke story, and this is a kind of funny one in reference to, you know, a country
Get a cough.
not so much being a joke, but like not taking themselves too seriously, because, you know, drinking is kind of if you know anything about Croatia, there's a big drinking culture there, as there is much in the surrounding region. And they're going to open a museum of hangovers. Just going to let that sink in for a bit.
Where is it? It's Croatia. Oh, good for them. I know a couple people from there. Yeah. It's.
I would like to visit it just to see what their definition of hangover is.
Well, you know, just the repercussions
like
of a.
Yeah, no, but like how you make it an actual museum. I'm more so curious on how they were able to do that.
Well, as Scribe always says, if you let me get to the fucking story, maybe you can find out.
Hurry up then.
Okay, well, like so many good stories, this one began with a memorable night out. Reno Dubovic, a university student in Zagreb, was out enjoying drinks with his friends when they started swapping their funniest hangover stories. Suddenly, an idea dawned on him. Some sort of collection where all these objects from drunk stories would be expressed together within their stories. 6 months later, in the building next to where the boozy night had taken place, there it was, the Museum of Hangovers. Exhibits include displays of objects people found inexplicably the next morning after a boozy night, a room where visitors can test their reflexes after putting on beer goggles, an interactive section where they can share their own best and worst hangover experiences. The gift shop is also tongue-in-cheek, selling Drunkopoly board game and bar activities like darts. So it's basically, you know, part museum, part art gallery in which people share stories, and you can get the experience of what it's like to be drunk and just finding out what that hangover is like for different people. Because I know personally, I've only been hungover twice, maybe 3 times in my life. And even then, it wasn't really that bad.
You know what? I can say the same, but for completely different reasons. And that's mostly just because I've only ever really had that much booze that often enough to get drunk that often enough to realize that if I'm drinking anything, it's one drink very slowly for like 3 to 4 hours, watered down by like 2/3.
Yeah,
I used to be a huge drinker.
Well, that's not surprising.
Okay.
No.
What does that mean?
No.
Shut up!
It's because you work as a chef. There's stereotypes. We were just talking about it. Chefs are drunks half the time.
Well, you know, the thing is, the reputation is there was a lot of positions in kitchens where that's part of the deal was you were given beer.
No, exactly. Exactly.
But Kyler, it's the best. That's the best when you're the 4 and she's the 10.
That is very true.
Yeah, I said it. Yeah, fuck off.
Come on, man.
You know it's true.
Yes, it is. It is
but
very much true.
that's the joys of alcohol, you know. Sometimes you get a little bit more or less than you bargained for. Exactly. The Museum of Hilarious Bad Ideas that seemed like a good idea at the time that later make for great memories. Because I'm sure anybody who's been in those situations, if you were in college or university doing those pub crawls, you probably did some stupid shit. And I don't know, it's fun. It seems more like like I said, more of a art gallery type thing, but also a museum in that it's bringing these experiences together. I don't know, it's cute.
I'm also I think I have to be really real with you, Duck Dog. Like the thing is I don't drink, but every once in a while I get a little bit of money that I can spend on myself. So I might have bought some little bit nicer pot. And it's the only stuff I'm allowing myself until the end of the year, and then I might take a break from pot for like a couple months just because I've been treating it like candy. So this is my last candy shot before New Year's. But
You know what, Dog? You know what?
How dare you? I'm both stoned right now. So if Functional sounds like me, it's probably because I'm pretty stoned.
No, he's not the only one to tell me that my Canadianness comes out a lot more on stream when I'm with you guys.
The aboots,
the oots, the A's. I know why.
Actually, we're still not too bad.
It's like when I hang out with my Russian friends and I start talking like this.
Actually, it's funny when Caligula's on, it comes out more than anything, and that's just funny because I have a tendency to parrot people, So like over time, like if I were to seriously talk to someone with a hard English accent or something, I will start to sound a little bit like them, like enough that they're going to get irritated and think I'm making fun of them. Even though I'm not, even though it's entirely unintentional. But I think a lot of people do that. It's just, it's like I said, I could probably do voices because I was actually fairly good at hearing music. Like the same standard of like I hear notes very well. I could actually work out songs better on my own just by playing the piano than I did by reading the music. And it wasn't until afterwards that I was like, you know what, I should have just glued like the notes onto the keys. Pianos.
Yeah.
And honestly, because like it was the same. It was just like I could hear the notes. So like listening to people talk, that's what I'm doing, so the longer I talk to you, the more I'm going to sound like you. But like at the same time, I'm a female, so I'm not going to sound like a dude. I made that joke with one of my Irish friends. I was like, so like your female friends, like do they sound like you but high pitched? Because I hadn't really heard any female like Brits talk. And like even in the movies that I'd seen, like like some of the actresses, like some of them did an okay accent, but I couldn't think of anyone off the cuff. And there's tons of TV shows now that I think about it, but like at the time it was just like, do they sound like you but high pitched?
Accents on the spot were never my forte. Voices were. I've done quite a bit of acting and film work and voice work for animations and stuff. Can do those pretty easily on the spot. Like I can go from like that to my normal voice to something a little bit deeper, or maybe just something a little bit more, posh, a little bit more of laissez-faire. But the doing the actual accents, because I want to study it, I want to get, like you were saying, hearing it, immerse myself more in it, and then I could do the accent a little bit, because I'm so self-conscious. Like if I try to do a Scottish accent, I know it's going to come off like shite.
But if you hang out with Richard and Scotty for long enough, and the two of them don't sound the same at all, which is
no, because they're different regions. Yeah.
And that's very important. Like that stuff is really important, especially if you're playing a character from a movie. But I still find it fascinating. It's just, and the thing is we're lucky. Like most of the people we meet from the UK are understanding that we kind of have a tendency to do that. And the thing is it's actually completely normal for us to do that because quite often, like my neighbors were Brits, you know, and Penny didn't like, she still has an accent, but hers was always very soft. So like I always pictured hers, or Mike, and he passed away recently, but like he had a little bit different accent too. But Penny, when I think about it, she sounds a little bit like she was a little bit closer to London. I have to ask her that one of these days because even though she's got a softer voice anyway, you know, it was never really a strong London accent, but it was closer to it. Whereas Mike had a very different accent entirely. I think they said he was from Elon or something like that. I can't remember. I'll have to ask again. You know, my mom knows the answer too. Just so like because he just died. You know, I don't want to bring that up all the time when they're healing.
Okay.
So, but it you know it's
IR1, you idiots.
it's not the first.
Oh, a redneck.
You know, it's not the first time or the last person in my life that was British. You know, so like you know, growing up with people with other accents. Same with Asian. Actually, a lot of Asian accents. I have to be really careful around them because like I grew up with a lot of Chinese people who were in immersion. You know, they were learning English in class in elementary school, and very nice people, and some of them were strong with English and some of them weren't, and some of them, you know, and I was working with a lot of people learning English, so like grocery stores are full of people who want to learn English.
Yep.
Really
And
good place to learn it, actually.
That's why they want to learn it. Because it's really hard. But, you know, I knew people within a 2-year period, you would never know that they'd just moved 2 years ago to the country. And it's because they're forced to speak it. And they're the ones who go home and continue speaking English after work. Because it's reflective. And I have so much respect for them, you know, I cheer them on. I'm like, you know what, you know, if you're going to go to school to go become a doctor, you know, I cheer you on because like I'm not that kind of book person, but I appreciate people who try that hard, you know.
Yeah, most people do when you're in a host nation.
Yeah.
Most people appreciate if you just try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyler, it's a funny story because it's the reverse here in Canada. You go north to get the rednecks, and a lot of my family are rednecks in northern Ontario, and my accent does come out a lot more than it does on these streams. Believe me, it'll come out a lot stronger when I'm up there talking to those relatives because they're so Canadian. Oh my God, it's almost like Irish Canadian Newfie weird amalgamations that they have, and it comes out a lot stronger. And
We are taking over the country.
I am probably the result of the last end of country boy who became a city boy, because my dad was a country boy. Like our main family might come from the city of Calgary, but he was raised a lot by his grandparents for the majority of his life, and then he was also sent to a private school. So he was both like really disciplined, but at the same time he grew up outside of Calgary. So like it was always archery shoots or camping or getting outside of the city, and he's still kind of the same way. Like he still prefers the idea of retiring outside of the city because it gets you away, it's quiet. He misses hunting so much. Like, I mean, he still does it a little bit, but like he's 75 years old. So there's that whole, like, you know, what can I do and what can't I do when I'm this old and I'm out in the middle of nowhere? You know, I grew up until I'd say 10, maybe 11, when my parents really got serious when it came to work, and they'd wanted to pay off the house as soon as possible, which, you know, they'd renovated and they wanted to pay all that stuff off. And so like for the first 10 years of my life, I was kind of half and half, you know, like I grew up in the city, but like I knew what it was like to ride a horse. I'd done it a couple times. You know, I knew what it was like to hold a bow. I'd used one fairly often. You know, I learned that my glasses fucked up my eyesight when it came to aiming at shit, but then I learned how to work that out.
Well, that's always good.
Yes. Well, I'm legally blind without my glasses, and it was one of those things where I went from being able to see to not being able to see over like a year and a half, and it was just when I look back on it, it was so bizarre how quick it happened. You know, because one minute I was fine with the chalkboard, and the next I had to be like in front of it, like 3 feet in front of it to see, you know, big letters too.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so like you're doing that at archery, like, you know, your glasses screw up a lot of how you aim because there's a distance between your eyes and the lenses, and when they're strong lenses, it makes a huge difference. Like I have a border around my eyes. I have to switch to contacts every couple of years because my side view makes me like a horse. Because I can't see shit from it. So it's one of those things that I've always been aware of when it came to things like driving and whether it was worth it. Because like the glasses is actually a real thing. Like, you know, the side view when you're looking for cars and or looking for signs or anything like that, or, you know, I look out the side of my mom's, you know, from the other side. I'm like, I wouldn't even know if there were cop cars.
Cop cars, you know, raves, you know, fireworks at that point.
You know, at least if there was something chasing, I'd probably see that. But I'd be like, is that a bear? Okay, mom, like speed up. Because that'd be obvious. Like I can at least see that because it's big enough and like weird enough that I'd be like, whatever the fuck that is, you should speed up.
It's
You know?
it's just Bigfoot looking to get McDonald's.
Right? So like there's little things like that that like, you know, cross your mind when you're growing up and your eyesight just crashes like that. And it is that real because like I had times where I would drop my glasses and I didn't have a second pair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if they popped out, I would be at school, and luckily I had one or two kids who had glasses who understood that like I was freaking out internally because I was like, I am not going to be able to do anything for a week because you know, because there's basic functioning that you do at home because you've memorized your house, but like, you know, you haven't memorized everything when you have glasses.
No, exactly. I understand completely because like I was the lucky one out of my family that didn't need glasses. So my dad had glasses, my brother had glasses, my sister, my mom, and then they're all just like mad at me because I'm the one that's got like the perfect 20/20, and I'm just like, good genes? I don't know. Remember, I was the one that was being rushed to hospital because I was dying of something at the time, be it like the common cold or pneumonia or ear infections or whatever. You know, so I'll take your glasses and you guys can take my immune system. That would be super. You know.
Yeah, Kyler, Duck Dog, I'm not gonna lie, I am very much a city girl. Like, I mean, at the age of 10, I could have claimed to be like a mixture of both, but now I can't because Calgary, like back then, was still a much smaller town too. Like, we didn't really have that rush until like really the late 80s is when it really got strong. Like we were still building up in the 80s. Like, don't get me wrong, it was good in the 80s. Like, people were starting to kind of build themselves back up from what was a recession. Forced recession.
Okay.
It was.
No, that's fair.
But you know, at the same time, we picked back up. But like, I was an infant at the time. You know, I don't remember any of that stuff. At the age of 6, I don't remember. Like, I remember being spoiled. I remember being cute. I remember being loved. But I remember like being broke most of the time. Like, I remember that my parents had their first renovation when I was 6 because it was cheap, and you know they'd both gotten a good bonus or something like that, and the house was old, so like it kind of needed an update to insulate it better. So we went away on holidays because my grandfather paid for the family to have a reunion on a cruise. And it was kind of one of those things where, like, you know, he had finally retired. He'd sold his business. So I'm 6. I don't remember anything. I just remember it was really boring. Like, most of the people that were there, like my cousins, were all like 15 to 21. So no one. I was 6. You know, I didn't want to hang out with them really. They didn't really want to hang out with me. It's not that I didn't love them or didn't want to go shopping when they did the shopping stuff. That was fun. Or having the dinners and stuff. But like when you're on the boat, like those are boring when you're the only kid and you don't know anybody else.
And
Man, you can't.
city boy Kyler over there, the town I grew up in,
Yeah.
25,000. So even fewer than yours. Suck it, old man.
Is that
who's
also
not
including
really
the
that
chickens
much
and
older than
cows and
me?
stuff?
Hmm?
Was it the type where they would calculate all the chickens and cows and stuff to make the populace seem bigger?
No. It was a small town that had a fairly relative close. What?
I don't know what that means, but wow. Like I was sitting here feeling like a little bit torn because like I'm talking about my parents being broke, but at the same time I went on a cruise with my grandfather. For the record, my grandfather has money. Had money. He's no longer with us. But my parents had money by the time he passed away. So, but that was stuff they earned. My parents were always like, "Fuck you! If you want money from me, you better like work for 6 hours cleaning cupboards and floors and bathrooms and toilets and whatever knickknack has dust on it and shit." So, and mowing the lawn and cleaning the walks and shit. Yeah, that's how you raise your kids. Even if you do have money, make them do chores, guys. And teach them how to cook that way too. Yeah, basic cooking for your kids.
Yeah,
Basic fundamentals.
God, I guess as early as I can remember, I tried to make my own money.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah, I would ask my dad and my mom for money all the time, but and would say, "Hey, I'll do chores for money or give me money or whatever." But I was at the same time still had a paper route when I was younger, worked, Timmy Hose and Toys R Us when I was a young teenager and, all that kind of stuff. But there's nothing wrong with giving your kids a little pocket money every now and then, in addition to letting them be responsible.
Yeah. Yeah, for us, the deal was always just as long as we did our chores. And, like, that was always fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with that. It was just always kind of one-sided because both my brother and I were supposed to do dishes, and he always had to go to the bathroom for, like, half an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, Dad, you do know what he's doing, right? Like,
he was probably at that age too, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I understand. My siblings were the same way too, and then they get so mad at me as to why I'm so anal about keeping things clean, and it's just like, that's your fault for not,
Phrasing.
But not just that, though. Like,
Anal about keeping things clean.
Even if he wasn't
Yes.
doing that, though, like, he was honestly just doing it to get out of the chore. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
even if he was in there with the Game Boy playing a game, pretending to, like, just go to the bathroom, he was just faking it the entire time. And I wasn't so young that I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all you have to do is dry the dishes. And I was like, Mom, if he's not gonna help, can I just leave the dishes here till he does it? Because like that's just crap. And I would end up having to dry the dishes because she was like, well, you're both supposed to do it. I'm like, well, then can I get his share of the allowance?
That's smart marketing right there. Yeah.
I was like,
that's the thing, Duck Dog. Like, I'm a city boy,
Yes.
but I spent a lot of time, like summer vacations, etc., out on farms for the majority of my upbringing. So I appreciated the fact that, I basically had to work all day, every day to just survive and to pull my weight around the farms because nobody's going to do it for me. Nobody's going to put that food on my own plate. I have to.
So in this sense, I know it doesn't make a difference for you, Duck Dog, because if you're saying you never did, you never did. But I didn't start getting mine until I was about 13. And the reason for that was because my parents figured that I was at the age where learning a little bit of responsibility when it came to your own money was what they wanted to teach. And that might just be the city slicker part that I'm saying. Like my dad.
Definitely, yeah. Because of our abundance of access to things. It's a very different dynamic. Again, like I've lived both sides, the city mouse and the country mouse sides. It's very different, but it's interesting at how the end result
Mhm.
is usually the same.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I've said before, you want to teach your children how to think and how to deal with things and allow them to fail so that they can learn from their mistakes. Don't tell them exactly what to do.
Like, don't get me wrong, Kyler or Duck Dog. Like, any chance that I got to clean any sidewalks that I could, I was never allowed to do the lawnmower. I had to do weeding. If I was helping with the gardening, it was always weeding because I could bend over and kids can bend over. So like whatever. So I'd be pulling weeds, and I still do that for my parents. Like now that they're older, I do that. For some reason, my dad still doesn't want to teach me how to use the lawnmower. I'm like, at some point, you're just gonna have to, Dad, because like,
Jesus, Kyler, I thought my parents were insane at having 5 kids, 10 kids.
jeez,
Woo!
Pretty impressive.
That's a big family. I had a hard enough time dealing with 4 siblings. Jesus. Although, to be fair, my parents did spread us out over a good, quite a bunch of years. I think my oldest sister and my youngest brother are 21 years apart, I want to say. Yeah, stands to about reason. Yeah, I'm the middle.
yeah. My older sister is, I would say, she's almost 55. She's a lot older than me, though. Like, it's one of those things where, like, when I was an infant, she was changing my diapers, and then for some reason, she stopped giving a shit about the fact that she had 2 siblings. So, like, I actually didn't go to Christmas dinner. It was one of those things where I wasn't really feeling very well, and my brother's had a cold for the last 4 days. And, like, I haven't really caught it yet, but I've had a pretty good joint tonight, so I might end up having a good sleep tonight again, which is good. And I might skip through it, but I was still at that point where, I wasn't really feeling that great, and I didn't really want to go because my sister's a little bit crazy. Like, she's lost her mind, and she's a little bit of a gold digger in her own way. Like, I'm not saying she would go after a man, but she would go after family. She's that kind of gold digger. And it's one of those things where my dad has already settled all that stuff with her, but she's nuts. And now that she thinks that she's healed herself up, which I do not trust that at all. I love my dad. So anytime he wants to spend with my sister, I appreciate. I think he was a little bit mad because we weren't there to hide him from her. But I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, the stress is probably not going to make me feel good. And my parents are both old. So my dad's at the age where, like, anything that I catch, he's going to catch. And it's going to be worse. And I haven't taken anything or had any shots lately that I know of. And I don't, I'm pretty sure whatever my brother's had, I probably have. Even if it doesn't affect me as bad as it does him. Like, if I'm handling it better than he is, I just didn't want to pass that along. In all honesty, it's not that I didn't want to spend time with my folks. Like, I spent 4 days baking cookies with my mom. It's not like my dad wasn't in and out of the house for that time, or that I didn't try to,
Sure.
have a good conversation.
That's responsible. I mean, especially since your dad is
like 75
much
years
older.
old.
Yeah. And he is a lot more susceptible to these things. So if even though you're not presenting as having the flu, you have a bug in you, then try to keep that away, because that's just the sensible thing to do. And I'm sure your parents, disappointed that they don't get to spend Christmas with their kids, but at the same time, understand.
Yeah.
They don't want to get sick as much as you don't want to get them sick.
And
that's why I never understood why employers were so hard on people, especially in the culinary world, being sick. Like, I would be like, hey, I'm not, like, I'm capable of working, but I'm sick. Like, I'm telling you right now, I have the flu. I'm runny and whatever, but I'm not super sick. I could still work. They'd always be like, yeah, of course, come in. Be like, are you sure? I don't want to get people sick. And it's like, they don't even care. They don't even care if you get the customer sick.
And the worst thing is it's not just that you're getting the possibility of getting the customer sick, because there is that. There's
other people while you commute.
Exactly. you know, it's everybody that you get sick. So like all of a sudden it's you who was sick, and then now everybody who was working in that restaurant is sick.
Yeah, that's
And
how.
who knows?
That specifically is how like things like SARS, like bird flu, get passed around so fast in places like cities because there's such that drive to go in, even unless you're dying, go into work, or they demand.
And
that
the
you go into
doctor's
work.
notes aren't worth it. The doctor's notes are so expensive for what it is. And if you're lucky, you get 3 days
Oh,
off.
they didn't. Oh, they put in place legislation here in Ontario that said paying for doctor's notes when you're sick or have a visit is not okay. So you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, we still have them. So for us, it's $50 for a doctor's note. And luckily for me, my doctors know my lungs. Like I am prone to bronchitis and pneumonia, like serious shit. Like one of those things where if I have to go back because it hasn't passed yet, I could end up going to the doctors, because that means I'm not really eating properly. I'm not drinking water properly, even though I do. Like I do try to consume as much food or water, but like automatically my body just goes into shutdown mode when I'm like that, because I can't breathe, or when I can't sleep. That's the problem, because when you can't breathe and your pillow feels like it's like cutting into the back of your neck and you're paranoid that you're gonna choke off, you just don't sleep. But like it takes me a good 6 days to get through the worst of it, you know. And even then, like probably 3 days for like the paranoia for sleep to pass. So I usually just spend time playing games online and then snoozing in between naps, and like drinking a hell of a lot of tea, and like if I have cough syrup, I have cough syrup. If I have to take the stuff that they give me, I take the stuff that they give me. Like that's when I take medication from the doctor prescribed, because I'm like, you know what, I know antibiotics are bad after a while, but this stuff could kill me. So
it's just your body getting used to it. But yeah.
You know, this stuff could kill me. But like I only get that bad like maybe every 3 to 4 years, and it's part of the reason why I do want to quit again, because like I did okay last year, but I think I can try again this year, and maybe actually, you know, that's not to say I'm never going to have pot again. It's just I'm going to kick the tobacco out, and I'm probably going to take a break from the pot for a while too, just because it's still the hand gesture a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, I want to quit for the lungs mostly. Just
I thought you vaped. You didn't smoke.
I do have a vape, but I still like the cigarette.
Oh, okay.
So I'm probably going to go back to the vape, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that, because I'm not too keen on my vape. So
yeah, I found that like using it as a cessation tool really helped me, as long as I had a unit and the juice that I liked. And it's a huge process of trial and error. Luckily, a lot of the better vape shops in Toronto allow you to try the different units and the different juices. So they'll have like sampling bars and stuff. I don't know if they still have it, because they've been cracking down stupidly on these regulations. But it was when I was vaping, it was really good, because these stores that were doing it right, sort of like how I talk about the pot stores, they knew their shit, they knew their products and hardware, and they could sit down with you and talk about it for like 10 minutes before even sampling anything, just so they could get a handle of, do you want to blow thick clouds, thinner clouds, just get a direct, just a simple direct nicotine into your system, like what kind of unit you want. Okay, now we're going to go to juices. What do you like? Do you like fruity flavors or dessert flavors, or just a straight, almost like a tobacco-y flavor? And, you know, then chances are within the first 2 or 3 things that they show you, you'll like one of those units. You'll end up like leaving the store, sure, you know, a couple hundred lighter, because you're buying everything from the start. But I saw it as a great investment that did me well for a while. However, kitchen life took its toll on me, and with my accident and all that stuff, it just took its toll, and I went back to smoking. I wish I didn't, but at the end of the day, I don't care. It's those last 10 years of quote unquote life where you're hooked into a ventilator or respirator or some sort of machinery anyway that I...
You say that, Kyler, but I'm also inclined to like roll my own cigarettes half the time, like because it's so
Yeah,
expensive.
that's all I do. Yeah.
It's so expensive up here for smokes that you end up, so I have
But
a
again, just like pot, it's a cessation. It's just a tool. It's a cessation tool. It might not work for everybody. You might find success with the gum. I know a lot of people who've found success just going cold turkey and holding to those convictions, and different things. I know a person who finally got off by switching to like clove cigarettes, and she was more of the automated addiction. But yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was coughing. Sorry.
Oh.
See,
it is a lot of effort, but if you want to make that, again, you can go into one of these better high-end shops, usually found in cities, that will allow you to test some of the things, the units and whatnot. You can see if it works for you. And the initial going from inhaling a smoke to a vapor is very different. It's very weird.
you know what?
It is something you do have to give a little bit of time to get used to, but I found once you got used to it, then it was a very, very good cessation tool for me and for a lot of people.
I'm not really sure what a carton is up here, but I would think probably
Over $100,
at least $100, and not even not even a good carton like that. That's probably a shit shack.
That's why you don't put it on your balls, duck dog. What's wrong with you, man? You don't put nicotine patches on your balls. Ugh.
Plus,
weird people. Anyway.
That's like people doing heroin in their eyeballs and shit.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably not wrong up here either, Duck Dog. Like I said, like the $100 would be for like a shit carton. Like you're not talking a good type of cigarette. You're talking probably lower end. 108 is probably like
whereas I can get like a carton and a half's worth of just unrolled tobacco for
the same
a quarter, a fifth the cost. Yeah.
I mean, the most you might pay a little bit extra for the tubes if you buy like I mean,
buy tubes instead of rolling your own. Yeah.
Like I like having a filter. I know it's not needed, but I like having a filter. It's like
I put a filter in mine.
You put a filter in nice? Okay.
Yeah, of course. You think I smoke unfiltered tobacco? Ew, no.
Yeah. I don't know. For a second there, I wondered.
You pretty much have to when you smoke treated tobacco because it's treated. Back when people were consuming tobacco in a more raw, untreated form, it was less harmful because you're not taking in those additives, those chemicals. You're just taking in the tobacco smoke.
Yeah, I actually learned this little trick with joints too. It's you tuck it in. If you know how some people will cut off a little bit of like cardboard from a pack of smokes or like the your rolling papers and make like a little butt end for your joint. So I had a buddy teach me how to tuck in the paper around it, so it acts like an extra.
I do that a couple times.
Yeah, it acts like an extra little filter. I don't do joints very often, but every once in a while I did one just now. So I had that little treat and I added that little extra filter just so I don't have to worry about eating shit.
What I'd like to do is every 4 months or so, like, because I'm a joint smoker, I collect my roaches into airtight bags. And every 4 years, in fact, for New Year's is going to be my next one, I make sure to skin all the paper off and break it up all together and just have the sweetest little roach joints and just get completely wasted. I turned into a complete blithering retard. More so than usual.
What? English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Exactly. And I just like, what? Under your armpit.
See, I would be the worst person.
That's what, no, under your armpit? Oh.
See, I'm a little jelly. I'm a little jelly, Kyler. I mean, at the same time, I'm not though. Like I said, if my lungs weren't the way they were, I would keep smoking. If my lungs hadn't turned out the way they were, I would keep smoking. And I don't regret smoking in the first place because I knew, like I said, as a kid, it was, honestly, the first time I smelt it, the first time I looked at it, I knew that I would want to do it. And the first opportunity I had, I took.
Oh, I hated it. My mom quit when like a little bit before she had me. So she was a smoker for most of her life. My dad smoked up until he died. I was always around it. I always fucking hated the smell and blah blah. And one day I'm just like, and my aunt smoked, so I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll steal one of these and try it. And I fucking hated it. I can't pinpoint the point at where I completely turned around and said, I suddenly like this. It just sort of happened. I don't know.
It's kind of like drinking. First, you don't like it. You know, you don't like the beer, and then after a while, you're just like, this is pretty good.
I've always hated beer, though. I'm not a big beer drinker. I do like
Nor am
booze.
I.
I've always liked booze. Even that burn. Oh, that burn, that sweet, sweet burn.
No, my grandfather used to make his own beer, so he would go out and get the kits, but he would add in like an extra pound of sugar and ferment it for like an extra week. So instead of
God.
it being, yeah, so instead of it being like 3 to 5%, you're looking at like 10 to 15%. So
You have a few drinks and
yeah, exactly, pretty much. You know, so needless to say, my grandparents' place was pretty hopping whenever his brew was ready. So
what else is going on today? People. Boxing Day. And the day what
that's true.
I've always wondered, what do Americans do the day after Christmas? Is it business as usual? Everything opens up, everybody goes back to work the day after? I always
DJ.
wondered that. Because I mean, obviously we have Boxing Day, and that's today, Thursday. So tomorrow would be Friday. Most people, most like office workers, white collar jobs, you would just have an extended weekend. You wouldn't. You might pop into the office on like a Friday or something, but for the most part, you would just have a really long holiday and go back to work on the Monday.
Yeah, some people even just do a flex day and then take half a day on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, depending on what they're doing or what they need to do.
I know working in the kitchen, this was prime money making day aside from summer. So I'd work. New Year's, work. And then come, January 4th or 5th, a whole lot of money in my pocket, burning a hole, wanting to do something, spend something, take a vacation, staycation, what have you.
I mean, it also depends on the schools too in the area. Like a lot of places would rather like allow people to have that extra time with their kids. If you're lucky, not everybody's like nice that way, but if you're lucky, because the kids don't have a long holiday anymore. Like I think it's literally just the week now. If you're lucky, maybe they get a week afterwards. High schools, sometimes they have their they're starting to go into the exams, so like time kind of gets a little bit weird for that last month between January and February before the exams really start. So like some schools now, like they start right away, so they don't really have that family time. So like that last weekend, just to get in that last little bit of time to play with your kids with their new toys, to go do stuff with them, maybe see a movie or something at the last minute. People are still trying to hold on to that last little bit of Christmas. But yeah, it's not as big a thing anymore. It's no longer like a whole month of the holiday kind of feel. I don't know. It's just like when I was a kid, I think it was about 10 to 12 days. Like it just got shorter and shorter as time went on. But like overall, it's gotten shorter. It doesn't matter what, age group you're in either. So, yeah, I understand the Friday thing, and take advantage of it, even if you aren't Christian. For the record, like if you could spend some time with your family, do it. Unless they're paying you for it. If they're paying you double time and a half, maybe take advantage of that too. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just trying to remember if there was any job that I did that had double time and a half. Oh yeah, airport security. That was crazy. So I just went in for like a 6-hour shift, and I was just like, yeah, I'm feeling like a millionaire right now. Oh.
Okay, so yeah, it is a little bit more flexible. Like, yeah, not coming right. That's not a brain. It's a new mineral. Speaking of stone, apparently researchers found a brand new mineral tucked in a tiny meteorite. It's never been seen in nature before. Edskatite, which occurs in iron smelting, but we've never seen it like in nature before. It's interesting. Between 2015 and 2019, research. Oh my god! I'm just my speaking is so bad today. Researchers discovered 31 new carbon minerals, most of them vividly colorful. Edskatite is one of the least flashy new finds, but it's also one that set geologists abuzz for the very reason I just explained. I thought that was kind of cool. We're still discovering stuff.
Ooh. Sounds like it would be like a cool, badass sword or something.
Edskatite. Well, it's better than unobtainium. Or
exactly.
Or midichlorians. Yeah, that's the benefit of working some of these jobs is you can work those holidays, get so much money.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I would work, twice as hard for like a month in summer to enjoy a week off at the end or whatever. Or, work a 4-day work week where I'm working, 14 to 16-hour days and then have 3 days off and then go back to work. This was really cool. This like mansion was offered for only 50 grand. Really cool looking house, old Victorian style. Look at the size of this porch. Nice little shed. Very old Victorian brickwork.
But no, it's nice.
Well, that's the thing. You could buy the property for 50 grand, but the catch was you had to put together a restoration proposal for the historic property in order to be considered for your bid. Built in 1861, the mansion is in Auburn, New York, in the Fingers Lakes region, about 25 miles west of Syracuse. City of Auburn purchased the foreclosed property, and the city's planning department partnered with real estate agent to come up with the unique method of sale. It's not an auction, it's a contest. So they had to state their intended use of the property, the restoration project timeline and cost, and restoration plan in order to be considered. I wish I had like 100 grand on me.
I know, right?
I would so move down there. And it'd be like, well, I'm going to make it my own property, but with a museum and historical stuff in the main floor and whatnot. And I'd restore it all and do most of it myself because it's how I paid my way through college, was doing unlicensed renovations. Was good at it, but I was going through school, so I couldn't waste time to go through school to learn how to be a contractor to then use that contracting knowledge to put myself through school to be a designer. Just didn't make sense. Anyway, so that would be totally fucking cool. Because 50 grand, are you kidding me? Look at this place. I mean, yeah, you got neighbors there, but this is a historic place. And like, look at the lot. You can see the neighbors right here close to the house, but then you have a really nice front, side, and backyard. Like, that's a lot of property for 50 grand.
I would definitely rebuild it to look like Xavier's school.
Yeah.
On the inside.
And 100%. this little room up here, this little castle-like thing with the parapet at top, that's where I'd have my office where I'd stream from. Totally. And then I could have this room over here to be the weird author type dude. And then the entire second floor would just be a kitchen with walk-ins and all that kind of crazy stuff. Oh, that's another thing I could do. I could learn recipes from that time period in 1860s, the mid 1800s. some of the cuisine and have that as part of the museum experience. Or no, forget the museum, not entirely, but turn the base level into a restaurant, but a historical restaurant. So a lot of it would be recipes that are direct or inspired by that time period. And then on the outside here, you could have like a patio area. Oh man. Oh, but if it's in a residential neighborhood, that might not work.
You could always make it a B&B.
Yeah. I mean, it all
You
depends
get
on what
around
the local zoning laws are.
Yeah.
But those are some ideas that I would totally have for the place, and I would oh man, if I just had a little bit of money, because 50 grand plus, they'll probably, if it's some sort of historic site, they'll probably help subsidize some of the cost of the construction. Period clothing as well. Yeah. Again, I think the only limitations really, aside from your imagination, would be the actual zoning laws for a property like this. But it is just like getting close up into some of that Victorian brickwork. It's not that bad. It's actually quite gorgeous. Maybe just a quick cleaning on the outside and, a little restoration on the deck. Because, yeah, you can see the wood is kind of cracking and there's paint peeling and could just use a little restoration. Not a big endeavor at all. And like I said, the brickwork's really good. The foundation looks pretty solid. Maybe run some more modern amenities into the house. I don't know what their plumbing situation is, but you could modernize it. Heating, modernize it. Air conditioning, modernize it. Electricity, get more modern. Yeah, you can see the backyard here. It ends just beyond the shack, but your next neighbor in the back there, they have even a bigger yard, and so they're pretty far away. I like that sort of very suburban, little bit of room to sort of grow, have a family. Yeah, this would be amazing. Yeah, oh, that intrigues me. You can still buy homes for $1 all over Italy. Huh.
No, anywhere near Tuscany, because I know somebody that would love to go there.
Ooh. While most good things get more expensive, one dream got ridiculously cheap in 2019 thanks to the rise of the €1 home in Italy. CNN Travel broke the news 12 months ago that the village of Sambuca in southern Italy was selling off abandoned, dilapidated homes for just over $1 as it tried to reverse a trend of rural depopulation. Huh. Yeah, the story went viral, drawing global interest, particularly as other towns and villages from the Northern Alps to sunny Sicily were attempting the same thing. You know what? I guarantee you, if the government, the local municipal government, established internet infrastructure and availability to these places, people from all over the world would buy that shit up real fast. I wouldn't mind living in rural Italy if I had access to the internet, like a decent speed internet. Yeah. I'd obviously spend a little bit more time in my daily garden than I do now, but that's only because it's fucking freezing here 8 months out of the year.
Unless they have a greenhouse.
Like, look at all these places in Italy you can buy dirt cheap homes. Italy is not bad. Italy's a good country. They're just, their economy's a little weird. Like, look at some of these properties.
Would just really love to, but you don't have it on the screen.
Well, there'll be a bit of a delay, but you can see it in StreamYards eventually. Like, I'm just scrolling past some of these properties, and I would, if I only had a little bit of money, I would move there tomorrow. Jesus Christ, I had no idea this was going on.
Well, win the lottery here, take the money over there, problem solved.
Oh, was it still showing the other screen?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
like, legit. That's why I was saying it would be nice to see it, but you know.
I was all like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just went to put my pizza away because."
Well, Jen wasn't here anyway, so hardly my fault.
It's not your fault. Yeah, I had to go do that. Sorry, it was just like it's been out for a while, and so I'm gonna reheat some of my pizza. And when that's done, I think maybe we'll start closing down because I don't want to.
Well, we can close down pretty soon. Yeah. Well, Kyler, one bonus is that I do know a little bit of Italian. Growing up in an Italian neighborhood, it was really weird. My neighborhood was mostly Italian and Jewish. It's really weird.
Really weird.
Hexnar. But I do know also a little bit of Latin, so the language barrier would be less troublesome. But yes, that would definitely be an issue for most. So you can, as I was showing in the picture, it's all over Italy that these homes are being sold, and there's some pictures of like just these beautiful villages. I mean, you're not going to get like a Victorian style mini mansion out of it, but for $1, I can hardly complain. Like some of them are simple,
Mediterranean too.
Simple brickwork like this, to the colorful vistas of Camerata, to small, well, not small, but small towns with large homes, places like Zingoli, Borgo Mezzaville.
Yeah, like some of those look like villas. Like,
yeah.
Like little wine villas.
Like these are like they're having such a big issue with depopulation, Jen, that a lot of these places were being sold for as little as $1. So that people would move there and of course, Elwin, who else is going to teach you Italian and how to grow herbs in your garden?
Get to love the tomatoes, which are not native to Italy, for the record. Thank you, southern part of America. Just saying. But Italians did it right. They did do a good job with tomatoes. I will say that Italian tomatoes are very good, and their pasta is very good with it on it.
American tomatoes are this weird amalgamation of tomato and fish.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do shit. That's what happens when you engineer shit.
I think I'm going to take a cue from you and order myself a pizza.
Yep.
Because I'm lazy and I don't want to cook tonight. It's also more of a chore when you're cooking for one than if you're cooking for two. I'm so lucky she's coming home tomorrow. I'm so happy.
Well, you see, I did that in a hurry too, because like I in hindsight, I kind of
how dare you.
I went to the bathroom, after I put away the pizza, and I was like, I'm already away. I might as well go away for twice. The reasons. And I'm like, I didn't even look in the other box to see if there's any room, because I just shoved it in afterwards. And I was like, this is not really the way I'd like to put it in here, but there's 2 boxes. So and I was like, well, I don't think I would have had time to do that. So screw it. Shove it in like a beast. Rawr.
Yeah, that's my problem right now. We got so many leftovers from yesterday. It's just like, oh, and I also have to finish making my goulash too. Well, the bigger question is, should I bake it? That's where I'm stuck at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made like a very nice bolognese sauce with it, and I just loaded up like the mushrooms, the onions, the peppers, and just like, oh, it's gonna be so good, so good. Anyways.
No, you're fine. You just do it different. Like my mom and I discussed hers is like, because she's got more of a Hungarian seasoning spices to it, and like it was really kind of interesting to go back to it, because she hasn't made it in a really long time. My dad is like anti-pasta, anti-anything like pasta, and let's be real, like goulash with Nucklin or Spätzle or whatever version you like to make with it, or you could just use regular, egg noodles, whatever. Either way, you're still using pasta. You're still using wheat. And for some reason, my dad has this thing where like Asian noodles are fine, regardless of whether or not they're wheat or rice. But like pasta noodles aren't. And my mom just doesn't understand, like, is there like a texture problem? Because there's different kinds of pasta. Like a lot of Asian noodles are thinner.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it just that you like a thinner noodle? Because you can definitely get pasta sauces or make the Spätzle is a thinner version of the Nucklin, so like it's not. She just doesn't like it as much. Like she likes the bigger noodle, but like for him, it wouldn't be that big a deal to just like I pointed out that she could use like a handheld cheese grater to do the same thing that she's been struggling with for years.
I'm using shells this time. Like it doesn't matter what type of pasta I really use on it. It's just put it together and away I go. But I always make it in bulk because it's
Yeah.
just like I can just like heat it up whenever I'm really really hungry.
I think the thing with our family is like because between my dad and my brother, they used to eat it so quickly. Like even with the joke with the pasta, regardless of whether or not it was nuclein or pasta, the two of them would because it's still goulash. Goulash is just amazing like that. But she would never have leftovers, so it never occurred to her to make it in bulk and then just reheat it in the pan, you know. And so my aunt pointed out to her, like, why don't you just make it in bulk? Like she makes it and freezes it and then she just heats it up and in the way she goes with a little bit of butter, and it's better like that actually because of the butter technically. But it still is, you know. And then you add the goulash on top and it's just like magic food. But she's just it was always kind of funny with her, like it never occurred to her like, oh, leftovers, right, what is that thing?
Yeah, leftovers for me is whenever I really get to like screw around in the kitchen like a mad scientist, I find. Because like I just come up with so many weird concoctions, but actually like it looks like garbage on a plate, but it tastes really, really good.
Duck dog, I make a mean chicken paprikash, boy. Oh, haven't done a proper paprikash in a while.
What is a paprikash?
Yeah.
Just not sure if I've actually seen it before, and I just don't recognize the name.
Oh God, I want to say it's a Eastern European dish. Hold on, let me quickly finish my fucking pizza here. I'm just like I 2 seconds.
No worries, take your time.
Double cheese, extra cheese, all the cheese.
Well, now I just lost my mojo. And it's kind of Bulgaria hungry, thank you. And it's kind of like a boiled like in a thicker sauce. So it's like a wet chicken dish. And it's mostly, cream, so sour cream, chicken, and then veggies, a whole lot of paprika, hence paprikash. I like to use smoked paprika because it gives it that just and a little bit of to add additional fat. Instead of using something like olive oil, I'll use bacon fat. So it gives it that smoky, rich, sort of almost salty.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
So it doesn't look pink or anything like that, right? Like it's just like
pink. No, it's
a cream
brownish red.
with the seasoning just kind of
makes it brownish red. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, because I'm allergic to dairy, I don't use sour cream. I'll use a roux instead. So the consistency of it is a little bit heavier, more like a gravy, but it's not gravy. It's done differently using a different base for the sauce. So instead of using sour cream or a heavy cream, I'm using
something else.
Roux, which is a cooked fat and flour mixture, which is the basis for most gravies. And depending on how thick or thin you like your gravy, you would, use a different ratio. But yeah, no, I was just having a bit of a trouble thinking of what the hell I wanted on my pizza because Elwyn doesn't like spicy food. So when she's not around, I like to order food or make food that's ridiculously spicy. So I was thinking of like chorizo and like hot peppers and stuff.
Ooh, no. The chorizo is the best way to go.
But I was looking at the toppings list. One of their quote unquote vegetables is a plant-based chorizo crumble. And I'm like, I kind of want to taste that, but I don't want to risk my entire dinner on the
off chance of
it being disgusting. Yeah, shit on a shingle, duck dog. Yes, I love that.
It's not always that they're bad. It's just sometimes they don't really get the consistency right. They really don't. Like
Mhm.
I've
sometimes,
tried they did a promo where they had like they were letting people sample like tiny little squares of pizza with a single piece of their plant-based pepperoni. And I was like, hey, this tastes just like pepperoni. Not a huge pepperoni fan, so it doesn't really affect me. But good job for replicating the taste and most of the texture.
Yeah.
I still don't know what to put on it though. Fuck.
Spanish onions.
Ooh, I can do that. She hates
I
onions
better go
too.
check my stuff because I
Yeah, go do what you got to do. Let's close it up because I want you to be able to eat and I want to be able to concentrate on ordering my food so I don't order something that I don't don't fuck it up and eat something good. What is wrong? I can't talk today, guys. What the hell? This is Boxing Day functional where no, sorry, I'm just checking right out.
You do you, sunshine. I'm just more so contemplating.
Yeah,
lots of topics right
so if anybody's interested, I'll see how I'm feeling because last night Newf and I were going to do some more gaming, but just sitting around for the several hours that we were gaming and trying to figure out what games we wanted to play, just wore me a little thin. So I ended up lying down and just not going back to stream. But we'll see how I feel after the pizza, and you might be able to catch Newf and I goofing off with some video games that the kids are playing these days up on my channel, and we'll be back Snow Mexicans Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern on my channel. I'm sure most of the people watching right now have already subbed to me, and I can't thank you enough because I'm on that road to 100 subs so I can actually get a name for my channel and not just some weird conglomeration of letters and numbers that identify who I am. I should be making more of a case of this to YouTube than I actually am, because being a Jew and being assigned a number like that, come on, YouTube. I thought you were better than this. Never
Yeah,
again.
it's kinda dark.
Never again. Okay. Of course, that was a joke. That was a joke. But yeah, keep your eyes to the skies, and I'll be doing some random video game streaming over the holidays just because we're bored, and maybe we can entertain some of you chuckleheads out there in the interwebs. And
well, maybe I will go through your Steam list. If I could speak properly, I haven't had that much pot for the record. I'm just hungry. But maybe I will go through your Steam list and figure out a game that maybe we have in common that I don't mind spending money on. But it depends. Like I said, I've got a limit on what I'm allowed to do.
Sure.
But
yeah. That'd be really cool to do some more just wacky adventures in gaming. We'll talk about that a little bit more offline.
I had pepperoni in my mouth. I was like, nope.
Yeah, you talking about food is constantly derailing my train of thought here. So yeah,
sorry, I just got some good news.
Let's
Maybe I should do ASMR someday. Someday I will make a special Canadian ASMR just for Alex.
I managed to before we take off, I managed to get World War Z on Epic Store for $5 because it's on sale for $14.99. Epic gave a $10 off any game over $10. So you can't get a free game, but in addition to any sales that they were having, so I got a stupid game that I kind of wanted to play for a bit, wasn't willing to shell out too much money for. So for $5, you can hardly go wrong. I'll just put that out there to the chat because I know we got some gamers. On that note, I can't remember. There was one more thing I was going to say, but I don't really care. I'm hungry now. I just want to order my pizza.
Yep. So are we going
to actually, what I really want to do is go out to the store, get some chicken and make some chicken paprikash, but I can't do that, so I won't. What were you going to ask? Sorry.
So are we doing anything on Saturday? Are you going to stream on
Saturday? Yeah, we'll have our normal Snow Mexicans on Saturday on my channel. Elwyn dropped the link in chat. She's my Stargazer nuts, but only better because she's mine.
Giggity.
But between then and randomly throughout the passage of time, we'll be doing a little bit more game streams because it's fun to have fun and have people laugh at me while I dick around in video games. Exactly, Bird. Whose bird is that? Is that Newf's?
I think so because I don't have one.
Oh yeah, no, that's my phone. Friend of mine.
Oh, it's your phone?
Yeah, it's my notification settings.
Your phone on stream.
Why you being a dickhead for?
It's all
Stop
good, guys.
being a dickhead.
We are gonna call it. It is 6 o'clock my time, which must
Yeah.
be like ancient o'clock time your time.
8
so-
o'clock my time. So from all of us at Snow Mexicans, bye guys, and I'm gonna play my theme song on the way out.
Fuck it up, don't give a shit.
Bye.